Looking for a ring or anything classy. All she needs is for someone to care to ask her to go steady. She's so ready for that leather jacket. She will hack it with internet manipulations and a variety pack of stipulations. She said, don't try to deny it. You clearly flicked it. I'm pregnant, maybe. It's not a fiver, babe. It's not a fiver, babe. It's not a fiver, baby.
Never saw this. What are we seeing here? What's this? HEVN? Is this a... Are you seeing this? I'm literally... I can't unsee it. What the hell is that?
Some babies, but there's some ladies from a blog. I'm not some slob. I'm on the job.
It says Fiverr.
Oh no! Oh, hold on. Okay, hold on. This is why you do it live. This.
I'm not some slob, I'm on the job. Truth deep diver. She hired Fiverr. 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 She hired Fiverr.
That's it. That's what it is. That's it. That's what it is. That's it. That's what it is.
I'm not some slob.
No, I mean, Meg, what? Unbelievable that we just figured this out.
Welcome to the program, everybody. It is Tuesday morning. I know you're not used to seeing me here in the daytime anymore, but I'm back. Kids are in school. It is fall. I have the time to do this. I have been looking forward to this broadcast for a couple weeks now. I've been talking to Jack Fox. Who is Jack Fox? He is not my husband. Chat, calm down. But he is someone who shares my last name. Jack Fox is joining us from Never a Truer Word. Jack, how are you today?
If we were married, it would be very strange, seeing as I'm in England and you're over there in the States. So it would be probably a very successul marriage, thinking about
Probably.
it. Yeah.
Lots of alone time, right?
Yes, which is all that matters.
But Jack, you have an interesting background. I was looking at your website, and if I had to describe you and what you do, I would say you're like a human lie detector, or maybe it's better to say a truth detector, because you're looking at words, written words, and you're looking for signs that what's being said is authentic or not authentic. Correct? You want to tell the chat a little bit about that?
Yeah, I look at the words that people choose to use, and no words that we use are accidental. Whether me and you were speaking right now, and we're probably just having a casual conversation, so our autopilot is taking over the words that we're using to have that conversation. Not accidental though, because the autopilot is just choosing the best words that represent the experience or the thoughts or the feelings that we're going through at the moment. When we're lying, we tend to be a bit more precise with the words and choose it a little bit more manually in order to get our lies across, because lying's blimmin' hard. It's hard work to do. And I notice both modes and accept no word is accidental. So go, why has that word been chosen? Or why has that phrase been chosen? Or why are they leading with that concept? And then build up a picture of whether someone seems to be mostly telling the truth, whether someone seems to be lying. And also you can tell from looking at the words, the motivation of the person talking or writing as well.
Interesting. It's really interesting what you do. I've been watching you with Lauren Conlon and the streams you've done on Laura Owens. How did you get involved in this case? You do other analysis on other cases I've seen on your YouTube channel. And chat, you should go over to Never a Truer Word on YouTube and subscribe to Jack, because he's very interesting and he follows a lot of the cases you guys are following, a lot of true crime. How did you hear about Laura Owens and the crazy shit show we have found ourselves in here?
I have to give Lauren Conlon, all the credit for that. She has this habit of sending me words and going, are these Jack, are these true? Are these false? And I remember it now. It was one Saturday, and she sent me a text saying, "Can you have a look at this? I'm not going to tell you any more about it." And sent me one of Laura Owens' Medium blogs.
Oh, yes.
Is this true or is this false? And I read it and went, oh my God, this is such a lie. It's so wordy. And, the more words that you hear from someone, the bigger chance there is to make a determination about whether they're telling the truth or whether they're lying. The more a liar talks, the more markers they'll leave down in what they say. And I think, most people here will know Laura Owens' Medium blogs were long. So there was a lot of opportunity inside of them just to spot lots and lots of markers of deception in there. From there, people just kept getting in touch with me and Lauren and going, could you look at this bit of testimony? There's this blog here, there's the TED Talk. And so we just built up a library of going through various writings and speeches from Laura Owens.
Well, and I wanted to reach out to you because I received these very strange emails months ago from a person claiming to be an ex-boyfriend of Laura's named Tag. Tag sent me very long, wordy missives. I mean, many of them. And I sent them all to Jack. And I said, Jack, I really would love it if you would take a look at these. Now, I happen to believe that Tag is Laura. I have believed that from pretty much the first email I got. But I strung it along. I wanted to see how much I could get out of this conversation. And could I get this person on the phone? And I have this very long, series of emails between me and this person claiming to be an ex-boyfriend of Laura's. Now, this person reached out to me saying, I have evidence, I have a story I want to share, but trying to also explain to me that that he believed Laura was very fragile, mentally fragile, and that she's definitely a self-harm risk. Which, of course, set off a lot of red flags for me because, again, that's something that Laura wants people to believe. Laura wants people to believe that she's on the edge all the time of doing something terrible, right? And I that was one of my first red flags. So I sent you all of these emails, and I really just want this to be about you telling me what you found in them and what you think about them. What was your initial reaction, Jack, when you got this?
So I have the delight of just being able to look at these time and time and time again. So I think my first reading was, these don't add up. And I think that's where most people leave these things. So I'm a big fan of trusting your gut instinct. So you said, when you got it, you went, no, these don't add up. I'm going to try and string this person along to try and get more out of them. What I do is then go, well, why doesn't that add up? And what words don't hang together? What words are out of place? And what's the motivations of the person writing this? And when I'm going to classify this as an anonymous letter. So when we'd be looking at an anonymous letter, say a ransom demand or a bomb threat or something like that, you wanted just to find all the markers in there of who has written this and what do they want, because quite often that is hidden inside the words. So that's the way I approach this. So yeah, the first time I got it, something doesn't add up. And then I've just gone through it time and time again. An hour ago, I was sitting in Starbucks just reviewing this and going, oh my God, there's something else I haven't spotted. So there is so much inside these emails.
All right. Well, we're going to pull up your notes and we're going to just start going through them. Before I do that, chat, I want to remind you, make sure that you hit that like button for the algorithm. That is so important. You can hit the dislike too. If you don't like the show, that's fine. Hit the dislike button, but let YouTube know that you're watching. And also, please, if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe, because sometimes YouTube will unsubscribe you. If you thought you were subscribed, you might not be subscribed today. So make sure you hit that subscribe. And if you love the show and you want to support the show, please do leave a super chat or a super tip. Super tips are pinned to the top of the chat. You can use AI voices to send me super tips, which is a whole lot of fun. We do love doing that here. We love using those. And what's great about super tips is that they give creators 90%. 90%. They only keep 10, which is great. We love that about super tips. Also, if you are not following me on Locals, and a lot of people have said you're not getting my notifications, make sure you go to meganfox.locals.com. You can follow me for free. But if you want to sign up and be a part of the live chats and have other content on there from me, if you want to hear more from me, Locals is a great place to do it. And right now, it is the biggest sale I've ever had. It's 50% off for the entire year subscription. It's only going to cost you $30. And that is promo code. It only lasts for 1 week. Promo code Good Hair. if you want to sign up, you got to use promo code Good Hair on Locals, meganfox.locals.com.
That wasn't inspired by me, no.
Hey, I think your hair looks fantastic,
Oh,
Jack.
thank you.
I think you look great. This is going to be so fun. All right, so here are your notes. Let's pull us up over here. Here we go. I'm just going to stay quiet and listen to what you have to say, Jack.
Right. Okay. So, I was going to say I'm going to amaze you. That sounds big-headed, but the first paragraph, you are not going to believe how much is in this when you break it down. Okay, the first word is Megan. What is always very revealing is how someone, when it's a written missive to someone, is how they begin it. Megan is very clear, and that is who the primary audience of this note is. Very often written communication has a primary audience, which is the person that it's addressed to, like the person that is meant to read it, but there can also be a secondary audience, which is the other people that are meant to read it. Think of a politician's resigning statement where they send it maybe to the head of their party or something like that, but the secondary audience is the entire world because everyone is going to read that. There is only a primary audience here, which is you. So this is designed for you. So from one word, we've got a lot about the intention of the person sending this note. Okay. Then the first paragraph is, my friends call me Tag, and over the past few months, I have been following the situation regarding Laura Owens, a woman I dated and was involved with intimately from mid to late 2015 to 2016. Explicitly in the first 5 words is, I'm not going to tell you who I am. So this is red flag city with the very first thing. My friends call me Tag, which is another way of saying, I'm not going to tell you my real name. I am not going to reveal my identity to you. Red flag right there. I'm going to hide my true identity to you is the first thing this person says. Now, when we talk, when we write, the first thing we say is very often our priority that we want to get across. Sometimes we may think we're hiding it, and this person writing may think that what I'm doing is sowing a breadcrumb here of, this fake personality. But the very first thing they're actually saying is, I am going to hide my true identity from you. So red flag there.
Interesting.
Also in that first paragraph, a theme of relationships. My friends call me Tag. And Laura Owens is a woman I dated and was involved with. So a lot of the words in that very first paragraph are a hinge on relationships. So this is someone, relationships are key to this person, I believe. I don't believe, and I'm going to point out there are, so if I had to draw a profile of this without any real background, was it written by a man or was it written by a woman? I'm going to show you male and female markers all the way through these emails. I don't believe, and by the way, when I do male and female markers, I'm talking in general. I know there are wide differences with people, but just in general, a man is not going to say involved with intimately. It's just not a male phrase. It's a female phrase.
I felt that too. I felt this had a lot of female energy.
Yes. And also, again, a woman I dated and was involved with intimately, they're the same thing, really. So are you laying it on too thick? One of the things is that when we don't have the authentic experience to relay in words, it comes out wrong because we're calling on a different part of our brain. So if I was to tell you about my coffee in Starbucks that I had before this, I've lived that experience. It sits in my mind. It's like a series of images and things that just happened because they happened. So I could explain that to you using very different language than if I tried to pretend to you that I was involved in a car wreck an hour ago, because I would suddenly have to start pulling that from a different part of my brain where things were imagined, and the words would just come out all wrong and all jumbled. So there's a marker there, a woman I dated and was involved with, really. And also the other thing I noticed there is the situation regarding Laura Owens. Now, I don't know at what part, I don't know the story that well. I don't know which timeline we're on here. I don't know what was happening, but situation is downplaying, a very unemotional way of describing some of the madness that went on around that. So there you go, paragraph 1. And I'm going,
If this was May of 2024, it would have been right before the trial in June. So yeah, we were headed screaming towards the June 10th trial at this point. So it was coming to a cataclysmic end. It was not just a situation, it
Right.
was a 5-alarm fire. So I hear
Yeah.
what you're saying.
So yeah, someone who is right in the midst of something that they're bad at or bad for, they're going to downplay what went on. You'll see it with, to use a very extreme examples, someone who is accused of murder and they are a murderer. They'll use phrases like, I didn't attack anyone, rather than didn't kill anyone or didn't murder anyone. Whereas truthful people, they don't mind the strength of the words. They don't try and soften things down.
Mm-hmm.
Should we go on to paragraph 2?
Mm-hmm.
Paragraph 2 is, I'm not fully ready to come forward publicly with my story, but I'm willing to support you and the other victims, specifically with what I feel could be valuable background information and help fill in some critical information holes. So paragraph 2 also begins with, I'm not going to tell you who I am. So that's the first 2 paragraphs both begin with, I'm not going to tell you who I am. This person's priority is not anything other than, I am not going to tell you who I am, which is why I class this as an anonymous note. Now, background information, talking of background information sounds like journalism to me, not how, so if someone from the public approached you with a story or information, I think they're not likely to call it background information. I think they may say, I have a story for you, or I have some information for you. Background information is a journalism term for, I need some background information for this
You know
story.
what else it is? It's also a legal term.
Well, we have some, there are plenty more legal
There's some
terms
legal
coming.
jargon here, because who has a lot of experience writing motions is Laura Owens, who writes a lot of pro se motions. And in those motions, you will often, there's a section for background.
Okay, so that background is very much like if I was getting in touch with her about a horse, I wouldn't have a clue which language to use. But if I did get in touch pretending to know nothing about horses, but use some sort of equestrian in term, then you would be able to go, this person knows something. So this is not, as we go on, this is someone who says they were in the military and is now a medic. Background information, not entirely sure on that. I think they're holding bait here with background information. So this is, I think, the seeds of a manipulation. So I've got a little something here that you might want that I'm going to dangle in front of you, which is this information to help fill in some critical information holes. And what they say here is they're willing to support you and other victims with what could be information. Now, all the way through these emails, their motivation for getting in touch with you changes. So we could just mark that one down as number 1. I'm getting in touch with you to give you some motivation, to give you some information, not some motivation, to give you some information. But we'll see as we go through the emails, they give multiple reasons as to why they're getting in touch. So this, again, now I've got, this is someone who doesn't want to say who they are. This is someone who seems to be holding some bait. And this is someone who feels to be starting a manipulation here, very much like a salesperson with some sales patter would start sowing the seeds early on in the conversation before trying to reel in the bait there. Paragraph 3. Before I go into lengthy discourse, I thought I should at least send you an introductory email with some basic details to make sure you and I connect before I go any further. Manipulation here. This is taking control of the situation, because you have to realize, Megan, on reading this, that unless you connect with this person, then you ain't getting those details that they've so craftily waved in front of your face. So, this is like, I'm only going to give you these if you connect, which is, it's manipulation. I'm not just going to give you these because, I've stated that I want to give you some information about Laura Owens. It's that I'm only going to give you this if you connect with me. As if you and I connect, then you can have the information. So this is manipulation, and this is about control here. You ain't going to get that information unless I feel
I
you
also
connect with me.
thought that there was another red flag in that sentence for me that stood out, which was the lengthy discourse. That was, again, another indication that this was not written by a man.
Yes.
I don't know any men who want to engage in lengthy discourse with me.
No. And again, which words would men use, unless the men were journalists or wordsmiths or something like that, before I bang on for ages, or something like that is the sort of phrasing they would use.
Yeah, it doesn't ring true.
Yeah. I want the truth to come out about Laura and her psychotic mother, but I have to admit I have 3 primary reservations about telling my own story, both to you on background, as well as anything resembling a public release of information. Third paragraph with, I've reservations about telling my story. So this is, I'm really not going to say who I am. It's there in black and white there, hiding information. What's really interesting is the description of Laura and her psychotic mother. So
I thought that was very aggressive.
Yeah, all the anger and the sort of derogatory terms goes on the mother. Laura's just the neutral Laura here, which is, as we go through all of this, this person sometimes says their motivation is bringing down the insanity that is Laura Owens, but it's Laura neutral and the psychotic mother. Mm-hmm. Other indications here is when I was going to say she, when he says 3 primary reservations about telling my own story. Obviously, this indicates that this has been thought out and redrafted, because very few people think, oh, I've got 3 primary reservations and I'm going to list those here.
And then bang them out. 1, 2, 3. You're going to go back and
So this isn't a flow of consciousness. These are carefully crafted words, or as careful as the person could be. Primary is not a commonly used word. So what do we have here? The primary reservations, but primary is used a lot by this letter writer. So I would work out and see if the person or any of the suspects for writing this use the word primary a lot in some of their writing. It is one of those markers. Primary comes up a lot. Also, again, another indication of withheld.
How many of you right now are running to the Medium blog, to the archives of the Medium blog to do a Control F on the word primary?
Yeah, do let us know. Also, again, just another marker of hidden indication. I've got 3 primary reasons, indicates secondary reasons which are not being said out loud, which is just another indication that a lot is being hidden here. The secondary reasons are all being hidden. So basically, inside these introductory paragraphs, the sort of warming up here, I'm not going to talk publicly. The other interesting thing is in what I do, 3 is a very, very common number in deception. It's a great number to hide things in. So if I said I have, here's an example, right? If I said, if I was attacked, or if I was lying about being attacked, and I said 1 man attacked me, I can be, and I'm lying, I can be asked all sorts of questions about that 1 man. Can you remember his height, color, hairstyle, what he was wearing, and which direction did he go? Where did he come from? There's so much I can be asked about that. Right. And I have to stumble around for answers if I'm making this up. If I say 3 men attacked me, then that becomes cognitive overload if it was true. So what did they look like? I can't remember. They all looked the same, or I was so bewildered by the attack, I don't really remember anything. 3 is a great number to hide things inside, because it sort of allows a sort of hiding of information there. So when we have 3 primary reservations, it feels very long and very formal, but you're sort of bamboozled by these 3 primary reservations, and maybe don't have the time to zone in on them one by one by one by one. What do they mean? The other thing, when we talk about male-female markers, though, is numbered lists are a very male way of dealing with things. It's that organized listing out things. Whereas when we talked about lengthy discourse, women much prefer to be narrative around it, and whereas men prefer like listing things out, which is why I'm kind of, maybe we'll come to it at the end as to who wrote all of this and who did it. And by the way, a woman can do a list of things. I'm not saying they're incapable of doing lists of things.
All right,
so we go on to the
next page.
Yeah, primary reservations for her. I am not proud, of him. So this is Tag talking, not her.
Tag
talking.
Tim.
Tag says, I am not proud of my behavior during this time in my life. In fairness, at the time, I did not entirely know or understand what I was dealing with between the mental health morass of Laura and her mother. However, if Laura and my situation of losing non-existent twins due to her non-existent cancer diagnosis had been completely above board, my reaction to that situation would not reflect well on my character. I don't know what that means. It is of a paragraph. And
Mhm.
I think this is what I'm talking about when I say if we've authentically experienced something, the words flow, the words come easy. It's very easy for us to get a picture or an understanding in our mind of what the person is saying. When it is not authentic, it's a little bit more fuzzy. It's a little bit more blurred. If the same thing happened to Tag as happened to Clayton, for example, why not just say so? Very straightforward. Why is it in this really opaque way?
Mhm.
The mother's brought into it again. It's Laura and her mother. So it's as if mother is here as it wasn't just Laura, mother was involved as well here. And this, I think, is supposed to be a description of guilt, but it's just not authentic. Actually, and we'll see this all the way through. On surface reading, this is about Laura Owens and the way she has acted and reacted. It becomes more of a mea culpa from Tag as to what a bad person Tag was in all this relationship. And it's a very confused plotting of what was going on here.
If it is who I think it is that wrote this, it would track that she would want to push the blame off onto the men that she was involved with. It's yet another way for her to say it wasn't my fault, it was theirs.
Yeah. That's primary reservation number 2. I feel an incredible amount of guilt and I'm very conflicted that I could have somehow stopped this from happening to at least 2 to 3 other men. My guilt has been such that I attempted twice to reach Clayton back in September, October with no luck, but I feel really horrible how she's laid this huge path of emotional destruction with him and others. So again, this is Tag going, it's all my fault. If I'd done something, none of this would have happened. It was not really Laura's fault here. Couple of things in this one. Do you remember that phrase? I've somehow stopped this from happening to at least 2 to 3 other men. So it's at least 2 to 3 other men. So it is, more than 2, 3, 4, whatever that means. The mention of Clayton is very interesting. I actually wonder if, because that little excerpt there, I attempted twice to reach Clayton.
I asked him.
Did this person reach out to Clayton?
Not that he could find.
Right.
So we don't know if it ended up in a spam or anything, but I did ask him. I don't believe that there was anything there. But then again, he got so many emails. I mean, hundreds, if not over 1,000 from her, that it would have been very easy for him to miss something like this.
Also, Clayton is just one word. So it suggests a closeness there to Clayton. We may refer to people just as he, she, once we've introduced them when we talk or when we write, but we do use a name or a concept to introduce someone when we start off, and just using Clayton to introduce him suggests a familiarity there with the person. It's not, I attempted to reach Jack Fox. It's I attempted to reach Jack. So that suggests a closeness and a familiarity there.
Yeah.
I feel really horrible how she's laid this huge path of emotional destruction. Now, number one, is that an appropriate feeling? I feel really horrible. I feel anger, resentment, guilt. Really horrible is not very appropriate there. Also, again, it's not very male writing. Feeling really horrible is more female writing.
Right.
And shall we have the Control F crew here? Control F crew. Someone involved in this story does use the word horrible quite a lot when they write. So doing Control F for horribles there.
I feel like I could never pull off a scam like this. For one, because there's so much writing in my name that's out there, right? There's a 20-year record of writing from me. I think it would be very easy for anyone to pick out my patterns, which is something everyone should think about before trying something like this. If you have a lot of writing out there, it's probably you're not going to get away with it.
Yeah, I would also say don't try and scam. Just
don't scam people.
It's really hard. It really is hard. So the writer here, Tag, feels really horrible about Laura's actions, but also feel responsible for what Laura has done. So, could that be because they believe their actions led to Laura's actions, or is this someone who does feel responsible for Laura's actions? I mean, who would feel responsible for Laura's actions?
More than her. Yeah.
Ah,
Who would-
deep down, it could be her.
Could be.
Now, next one. If I had to identify a primary motivation in contacting you, I admit it would be in hopes of apologizing to those three guys, including Mike, with whom I believe we have passed each other in the night, sometimes by days. So listen, who is the bad person in this email? Is it Tag or is it Laura? You know, I was apologizing to those three guys. Like, who is the bad person here? And also, like I've said before, the primary reason for contacting you changes all the time through this email. So now we have the primary motivation in contacting you would be in the hopes of apologizing to the three guys. And again, primary reason suggests there are other reasons that are hidden here. Oh, here's a fun extract. Number 3. I do apologize for my bluntness here. Before contacting you, I took the time to read your other articles and body of work, and I do view you as a talented and professional writer and speaker. I do find myself having serious issues with Dave Neal, however, for reasons I honestly cannot explain.
I can explain it. This was it. By the way, when I got to this paragraph, when I went, oh, Laura. This was it. If I had any other reservations, this was it. It was the extreme hatred for Dave Neal that just seeps through the page.
It is extreme. So look, we've got another manipulation attempt here, because it's an attempt to bond and create rapport with you
with
through
me.
flattery. Like the car salesman that does wise choice, or this is a very popular model that you've gone from, or even like the guy in the bar room that does that's a nice dress you're wearing, you know, like as a pickup line. It's exactly that sort of thing here. But listen, I don't mean to knock anything that you've done here, but talented and professional. Why point out the professional? You know, talented is enough, but professional, is this another indicator that this person knows a little bit about journalism and writing, or content creation, because they consider you professional? Maybe even a little bit of jealousy that you earn a living doing it, and this is what you do for a career. But that professional there, how would a medic / ex-military vet be able to judge the professionalism? They may enjoy your talent, they may think the writing is really good, but the professionalism, how would they know that? And then I have issues with Dave Neal, however, for reasons I honestly cannot explain. One of the reasons I do this is I love dropping little tips to people for things that they can spot in their everyday lives. When someone says something like, I honestly cannot explain, when someone tells you they're being honest, unless they're under severe pressure, you know, their honesty is being questioned. When someone just volunteers they're being honest, they're lying, because there's no need to say, I honestly cannot explain. Just I cannot explain would be enough. And if you want proof that they're lying about why they honestly cannot explain why they hate Dave Neal, the next paragraph is why they hate Dave Neal. You know, all the explanations come down there. And I think if you got it in that paragraph, I got it on this one. He and I have zero connection or personal history. Why tell us that? Why tell us that? Why is there any need to start this paragraph by saying we have no connection, we have no personal history?
You know what else is weird about it? What else it struck is that if this person had been paying any attention to this story, this person who wrote this would know that I am very close to Dave Neal, that I like Dave Neal very much, and that I would feel a visceral repulsion at any criticism of Dave Neal. I got into this story specifically to protect Dave Neal. Dave Neal is the reason why I did what I did, because I didn't like what was being done to Dave. Dave feels like my little brother. So if you come at me about Dave, I'm going to get nasty. I'm going to get aggressive. I don't like it when people go after Dave Neal at all.
I would add that to my personality profile then. This is not a very intelligent person that's written these emails, because there are just so many holes there. They think, and I think one of the things, look how far we are down now. We've got these 3 layers of reservations. They are someone who uses complexity to baffle, and complexity is a sort of shield. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw off little things left, right, and center all the way around, and your focus has to be all around to keep up with me. And when your focus is all scattered around, it's just not on the core thing. So he and I have zero connection or personal history. Again, When someone tells you what isn't the case, it very often is. You know, I don't care about you. I don't think about you at all. Yes, you do think about that person because, you know, you've got that concept there. With zero connection or personal history, yeah, I was immediately revulsed by literally almost all of his content from day one. There's a contradiction coming up on that. All of his content from day one. So this is someone who's, in their words right now, seen all of Dave Neal's content since day one.
Which is weird for someone who's not Laura to have seen every piece of it.
Yeah. Everything he says or puts online is the feeling of hand in your pocket, and I honestly don't believe, he takes any of the behavioral health implications of this seriously. Frankly, he's an unfunny vulgarian, and I take serious issue with him calling himself a journalist.
Unfunny vulgarian is so feminine. It's so feminine. It is. Men don't speak like that. They just don't.
Also, just because of that, I have no personal connection with Dave Neal. And by the way, Dave Neal, full name Clayton, was just one name. Mike, just one name. So there is an interesting bit of distance there. But they don't point out that they don't have zero connection with Clayton or with Mike. It's just this one that they have to do it with. But I can see real anger in there. So I was talking about what are the emotions going on before. They don't feel appropriate emotions, this really horrible or anything like that. But I can see real anger there towards Dave Neal. And once more, we have the journalism theme come up again. I take serious issue with him calling himself a journalist. So this is someone hung up on journalism for some reason.
And hung up on Dave Neal.
I hung up on Dave Neal.
A lot of Dave Neal in this letter.
Well, you know, I can't square your association with him and feel it only serves to lower your own level of professionalism. Yet I am able to separate you both mentally and make the content you produce together actually palatable. Hence, I would only tell my story to you. Sorry to break this to you, Megan, but you were a top class professional a minute ago. But
top shelf.
At some point, your professionalism has been lowered because you know Dave Neal.
Dave.
Yeah. So again, this is how liars trip themselves up because they don't hear the writer is not communicating an authentic experience. They either think you are professional or they think you're not professional, but they've actually said two contradictory things there. You're professional, your professionalism is lowered through what you do with Dave Neal. So again, it's just one more marker. This ain't true.
It's not smart either. She should know, or he, whoever, should know by watching Dave's content how much I really enjoy Dave Neal. So telling me that your opinion of me is lowered because of my association with Dave Neal does not endear you to me in any way.
I think what we've got, the reason for all of that is the very last line in that Dave Neal segment, which is hence I would only tell my story to you. I think that is an attempt to appeal to your your greedy side, your selfish side,
right.
They
don't know me at all because I'm not like that at all. Like that just pisses me off is what it does.
It's very much like, I'm going to work with you if you take yourself away from Dave Neal here.
If you throw Dave under the bus, I will sign your soul here away. And no, I'm not going to do that.
The next paragraph. Lastly, to reassure you of my validity from a provenance perspective, when I first met Laura, I was communicating to SFO weekly and getting into the San Francisco scene. At the time, Google Voice was a hot technology, and it saved me in this situation in a couple of ways. Now, this is in my framework of things that liars do. This is convincing. So truthful people just tell the truth. They may get pressed. Are you telling the truth? And then they'll start to get a little bit stressed, and then they'll start to try and convince you they're telling the truth. But when someone right out the bat feels the need to convince you, to reassure you of my validity, they're worried about not being believed. And most people who are worried about not being believed are liars, and they're worried that their lies are not going to be believed. So to offer all this proof, by the way, we'll come to the end of the proof in a minute, but to offer proof is another red flag that you're being lied to here. It continues. First, because it allowed me to put up a technology wall between myself and Laura that she couldn't break through. Second, it preserved the record of her insanity, culminating in what allowed me to feel completely comfortable in cutting her off. Because in her last few messages, she slipped and started referring to me as Mike, who we both know now as Mike Maracchini. Thirdly, it's given me perspective coming 10 years on that my instincts, which drove my behavior, were actually accurate and true. help. But the whole section that begins with, let me reassure you of my validity from a provenance perspective, ends up in, trust me, bro. Because here's a story, but there's no actual, I don't know what it is that they're promising. Can they give recordings of these Google voice messages or something like that? But none of it's offered. None of it is given. So it's like, here, to prove that I'm telling you the truth, trust me. Now what I really, it's the first time she mentions insanity. The first time he mentions insanity with Laura. It's the first time Laura's been spoken about derogatory is the very end of this email, when he talks about insanity with Laura.
And there was also the mention of psychotic mother too. So
yes,
psychotic was mentioned as well. There's been several mentionings of some sort of insanity, which I find interesting.
Yeah, says that the instincts drove my behavior. So once again, this tag is the one with the bad behavior. Yeah, okay, we finally had insanity from Laura, but tag is the one there. This part here, I believe, is written by someone who is good at justifying bad behavior. We all know that person, the person who acts up or acts out and says, they made me do it. This person made me do it. It's not my fault that I acted like this. It's someone else's behavior led me to react badly. So this is, it's crazy. Finishes off. Please let me know you received this, and if hearing any more about my experiences would help you. So we have the bait again. I want to help you. But we've got mixed messages because would hearing more about my experiences help you? But this person wanted to apologize to the victims earlier. So do they want to help you? Do they want to apologize to the victims? What is their reason? And it's about my experiences. This is centered on the self, not centered on Laura. So, this person seems to be reaching out with, I've got a lot more information on Laura to share with you, but what they're really saying is, I want to tell you what a bad person I was and how my behavior was awful. So yeah, email one, jeez.
All right, before we get into that, I have a couple of super tips I do want to play for you guys because those are a lot of fun. So let me do that real quick. We've got RJ Wright. Thanks for the $9.
I remember you rejecting me at a party in college.
Really?
You said I smelled like pickles. I didn't even know you were too old for me. 21 is an old maid.
I was only 18, David.
At a party in college.
Really? David Gingras and I went to the same college. I was a freshman when he was a senior. And I have a very bad feeling that I met him at a freshman party. Because his mugshot looks very uncomfortably familiar to me from back then. And it's a possibility. It's a possibility. He was a senior. I was a freshman. I was stupid. And he liked 18-year-olds. Let's see. Rylan Poole, thanks for the 5.
This is clearly defamatory. I'm having the baby if I don't hear back from you with a retraction.
I agree with Laura. This bitch, Megan, said my child's playground was unsafe just because it had broken glass and rusty nails. Megan's defamatory prowess is unmatched.
Jack, I may be sending you some writing from another case of mine that you might want to look at. There's a lot of it. And it might even be more entertaining than this one.
How can something be more entertaining than this?
Trust me, you don't even know. You don't even begin. This doesn't even touch the levels of crazy that's going on in this other case. Rylan Poole, again, thanks for the 5.
Cool guest. Is Jack able to differentiate between people overthinking their words because they're lying and overthinking because they want to make sure their true statements are understood correctly?
Well, that's a good question.
Yes. The more words you hear from someone, the easier it is to detect, right? So if I said to you, I've got a red front door, it's really hard to work out whether that's a lie or whether that's the truth. But if you were then to start asking me about my red front door, then I would be answering either really easily or stuttering, stammering, really trying to convince or persuade you. Of course, I've got a red front door. Who doesn't know I've got a red front door? Look at me. Do I not look like a red front door kind of guy? And you'll get data points to say, this is lying, persuading, and lying is just stressful, and the truth just tends to leak out.
Dave Neal's in the chat. Dave, I did send you a link if you wanted to join us. I know you're very busy, and now is about the time that you do your podcast, but I sent it on Twitter in case you want to jump in.
Dave, the unfunny Bulgarian.
Yes, Dave. You unfunny Bulgarian,
Yeah.
you.
No one
How
wants an
dare you.
unfunny Bulgarian around.
Dave, you're so sweet. I've been defending you all day from tags attacks. Let me tell you.
Well, should I
Good
go
Lord.
into email too now? Because
Yes, let
yeah,
me pull this back up. Let's see. I need custom layout 5. Remember,
You do.
5 layout 5. Here we go.
because very appropriately, Dave Neal gets a mention here. Megan,
Yes.
I've been using an AI tool to read through transcripts on some of Neil's content since he has been posting more information than almost anyone. Right. First thing
It's a
is
lot
this.
of
I don't want to
obsession.
I don't want to soil my hands by actually listening. But this person does have a deep dislike of Dave Neal. I think we can conclude that he's now just Neil. Names have been very important here. Clayton. Dave Neal has been Dave Neal, and now he's Neil. One of the most overlooked things in understanding if someone is telling the truth or lying is a contradiction. And we tend to just go, oh, has that person misspoke, or have I read it wrong? They said they'd listened to all Dave's content before from day one. And now they're having to use AI to read to understand some of Dave's content because they won't soil themselves with it. Which one is it? This person's a liar. I can factually say this person is not telling the truth here when they're coming through with these. Do I have to get into the Chase J. Jones story?
I think it's hilarious that Tag is offering up information on Chase J. Jones. What are the chances?
Well, what are the chances? Let me go through it. Regarding Chase J. Jones, I'm attaching for review 2 pictures of some logos my friend did for Laura, funded by her bunny boiler mum when she was contemplating developing a line of clothing for women in various equestrian sports. The original brand name was supposed to be Chase and Jones. However, in thinking through how to webify the name, an ampersand cannot be used in a URL. No. Laura's Laura, mom's a bunny boiler. So the anger again, the derogatory terms, not towards Laura, but towards mom. She's the bunny boiler. Now, this was really got me because this was funded by bunny boiler mom. Funded by bunny boiler mom. But a lot of these correspondence is going to be that no one paid for this. So did mom fund it? Or, again, contradictions will always catch you out.
You know what else is interesting about this is that I had been calling this case the fetal attraction case. And I early on had likened it to the movie with Glenn Close. I don't know if you knew that, but I had done this video showing the similarities between Laura and the bunny boiler, the literal bunny boiler in that movie that was played by Glenn Close. And I almost feel like this is some kind of, I know what you said about me. You know what I mean?
I was thinking about this morning because that term bunny boiler interests me from a fascinated by words point of view, because fatal attraction was what, 90s, late 80s, 90s?
Late 80s, I believe.
So there's a phrase that didn't exist 40 years ago, 50 years ago, but it's one that's everyone knows what it means now, but it didn't exist.
That movie changed the world. It changed the dating world for sure.
So bunny boiler became shorthand for psycho, mad, scorned woman.
Hot crazy matrix. High. That means scores high on the hot crazy matrix.
So psychotic mom I got because that was a description. Thank you. 1987. So that 2 years time we can have a party to celebrate his birthday with the term bunny boiler. Psychotic mom I got, that's a general term for maybe how someone acts. Bunny boiler I was really interested in because I was thinking, where did that come from? Because it generally means a scorned woman. It has come to mean a little bit that loopy or crazy, but it does have this root in scorned woman. And I was wondering how that affected mom. Mom gets labeled there. But listen, again, the original brand name was supposed to be Chase and Jones. However, in thinking through how to webify the name, an ampersand cannot be used in a URL.
Look at this, Dave
Oh my
Neal.
God, it's the unfunny Bulgarian.
It's the unfunny Bulgarian. He's here.
So enough people talk about me, I show up.
Yeah, it's like Beetlejuice. I love it.
Are you guys related? Is this?
We are not related, but maybe. You know, my family is from England, so who knows? You know, maybe.
Jack, I love your work, and
There's a lot of foxes.
Your voice is so soothing to listen to.
This is true.
Is he muted or am I?
Oh, he's muted. He's muted. How did he get muted?
I cursed you.
There we go.
Yeah, Dave, this is going to sound like I love him, but I was actually listening to you whilst working out this morning. So, yes, I'm a fan of yours as well.
Am I that irritating that it gets your heart rate up?
I'll have to go back over my stats.
So I guess unfunny to some, but September 13th, I've got a show in Nashville, so I'm never short on plugging. If anyone wants to check me out live this Saturday.
Fantastic.
You know,
I need to send Tug to one of your shows. You know, he's within driving distance of Nashville.
I know, and I have no idea what he looks like, so it would be a perfect.
Well, apparently he's got hair longer than mine now. So,
wow.
And he's like 6'4". I don't think you could miss him.
All right. Yeah, you know, the coming after someone's creativity is the easiest way to get under their skin, which I would normally be really bummed out about. But this was, I was never emailed these emails, so it kind of just flew under the radar for me. Like, you guys almost sanitized it before I got a hold of it.
Yeah. Right.
What's the strategy? She sends me death threats. She sends this to you. It's like, is she just throwing shit at the wall? You have no idea. It's like all over the place.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picking up in these, is that there is so much going on with them. It's throwing so many things around to confuse. He loves hiding in complexity, and just creating just noise.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a field day because, yeah, you're trying to find patterns, but while there are bigger patterns, there's also a lot of chaos. So good luck on, experts like you who can actually sift through things, because yeah, it's like when you see someone send a ransom letter and they cut out every letter so they can't trace it back. That's how her brain works. You know what I mean? Like, it's so all over the place that you're trying to find. The only trend is she'll threaten to self-harm to try to get people to stop. That's like the only trend that's like, oh, here she goes again. Everything else is just all over.
And that's in here too.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's the whole missives are all about getting the picking on Laura to stop.
Mm-hmm.
It's smuggled inside a message saying, I want to help you and I want to give you lots of information on Laura and lots of background information and lots of things that I think you'll find helpful. But the great big center of the message is, please stop all this. You're not doing good things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's crazy too? She calls me vulgar, but I think we're kind of the nicest of all of the people. The internet's and God bless them, I don't care, but the internet is they're the ones coming after her, analyzing every mole and freckle. I think we've treated her with as much respect as, or very little, that she deserves.
Dave, we also abide by YouTube's terms of service, which would keep us from being terribly vulgar or, awful to her. We have to abide by the rules of the platform that we're on, which we do very well because nothing's been removed. So that's it's a false charge, period.
Yeah. And what's the goal? Is it all right, she called me vulgar, I might as well quit. It's like you
hang it up, Dave. You're done.
Early on, she kind of tried to negotiate and work with us, at least to the point where it delayed for a few days as she's like, she's sending her Banner Health insurance and her Blockbuster card, and she's just trying to do anything she can to slow down the inevitable. And I think this is the first time in a long time she's been on the defensive the whole time. Like, ever since Reddit and we all got involved, it's been just, how do I get through the day? And it creates bigger issues the next day, right? She says, oh, I didn't upload that photo. And they say, here you did. One thing after another. The lies that would have normally worked to get her out of a situation have timestamps now.
I think that's one of the themes that is in these emails, is an awareness of how technology can be used for ill. It's a repeated theme all the way through what Tag is talking about here, is how technology can be used for ill purposes. And I wonder if what you're talking about there, Dave, is really playing on the email writer's mind. about how receipts are forever on the internet.
Yeah, and honestly, she gets away with these things because who's got the bandwidth to deal with them? Once folks like you guys come along who can, use this as an example, as a teachable moment, then there's almost an ecosystem that can dunk on her. So when it comes to Greg and Clayton and all these other guys, she would beat them down mercilessly till they don't even want to fight her. Mike accepts the restraining order for what it is. And then thinking she'll go away, she uses that to then say, see, I'm right. And we're the kind of first ecosystem that's like, no, we'll do our YouTube, we'll get our subscribers and our breadsticks, and that'll fund the stoppage of this madness. But it really did take the bandwidth of thousands of people to come together to put out all these different flames she started.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think it's such a good point about it's a bombardment. These emails are a bombardment. And if you are an individual, so you're a Clayton or a whoever, that bombardment is, you've got so many other things going on in your life. This isn't my life. So I can sit and look at all these emails and work through them, but they don't affect me. When they are affecting you, when they're, these things are getting to you in multiple legal motions and so on, it's easier to give up because it is just a salvo, constant boom, 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 boom.
And these are just the emails we know of. Where's the emails to anyone Clayton tried to work with? Because he has emails like that he hasn't even released of people that have canceled him from speaking engagements during the early, first 6
I'd love
months
to see those.
Those exist, and not only do those exist, where are the ones that we don't know about? We know she went to Mike Maricini's HR. Where are all the other places she might have gone to where they kind of just shoot her away and never made anything of it? So it's just like an excavation where we've only unearthed the top part of this whole chaos. And I'm hoping that the state of Arizona has a lot more information than we do.
I'm sure they do. Certainly more information than me sitting over here in England.
Well, come to Arizona. Come hang out with us in January. I'm sure it's nicer weather.
Yes, Arizona in January.
I'm going over to. I'm going to be flying to San Francisco for the Mike Maricini trial. I did put up a Give, Send, Go if anybody wants to help me get there with travel expenses. I dropped it in the chat for you guys. The other night when I was on with Clayton, if you guys haven't seen that interview, it was great. It was a lot of fun. When I was on with Clayton, you guys raised almost half of the expenses that it's going to take to get me there and have so that I can bring you live coverage from that trial. I do appreciate you, and any help you can give would be helpful so that I don't have to, get a second job at a coffee shop or something so I can afford to cover this trial. I don't have to go back to waiting tables.
I would love to have you as a sassy barista. You get what I give you. Just I got to take.
Don't argue.
I got to take off and do some family stuff before I do my live, but I just wanted to stop in, and I love listening to you, Jack. You great stuff. You guys are a great pair, but keep up the good fight.
Thank you, Dave, for being here. I've missed you. We need to get together again and do a live.
Hopefully can get you on my channel this week, or next week. Okay. I'm trying to get some interviews before I travel, but keep crushing it. I'm going to go listen.
All right. See you later, Dave.
Bye, guys.
All right. Where were we before that unfunny vulgarian just jumped in and took over?
I didn't find it funny at all. We were talking about Chase and Jones.
Oh, yeah. Right. Let's get back to that. That was hysterical.
And I was reading through the line. The original brand name was supposed to be Chase and Jones ampersand. However, in thinking through how to webify the name, an ampersand cannot be used in this URL. Now, is that the words of someone who observed this happening? Or is that the words of someone who was making the decisions and having the thoughts? It feels very much to me like these are the words of the person who thought about webifying the name Chase and Jones and thinking that an ampersand cannot be used. It's not the language of an observer. It's the language, I believe, of the person who was at the center of the decision about webifying the name Chase and Jones. Continues in the same vein. Laura then played with both an A and an E for a middle initial, but became horribly, there's that word horrible again, horribly frustrated by the names Chase A. Jones or Chase E. Jones. Again, would an onlooker use that? So would an onlooker say Laura became horribly frustrated, or would an onlooker not just say became frustrated? You know, again, it's the words, I think, of someone who's at the center of this, sorting out the brand of Chase A. Jones. Again, the same thing. Ultimately, looking at the various fonts, she found an ampersand reasonably shaped like a J, and the attached branding for Chase J. Jones was born. So again, it just feels to me like this is the person at the center of the story, not an observer of the story. It's way too much into the weeds, and could have been said a hell of a lot quicker. The name was supposed to be Chase and Jones, but Chase E. Jones looked better on our website, or looked better as a URL. That's what an observer would see and think, not down into the weeds of the thought process. There were mock-up websites my friend did for her in 2015 under the chasejjones.com and cjj.com URLs that she was never paid for. I'm drawing your attention very deliberately to the she was never paid for this work, the friend of tag. She was never paid for, ultimately losing $4,500 in unpaid work. They're long gone, but my sister mentioned they might be out on the Internet Web Archive, where you will find other photos of her styling her horse clothes.
Now, that, by the way, was an incredible time waster for me, which I think was deliberate, because I spent hours looking for these things. What I did find was another high-end London-based equestrian clothing line that was very close to Chase Jones. It was like Chase something else. I don't remember what the second word was, but it was an high-end equestrian UK company. And I can absolutely see Laura and her mother thinking, you know, if we open an American-based company and we just make it close to that, lots of people looking for that will accidentally click on ours and order from it instead.
What a scam.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to go as well. The friend did the work in 2015. So these were mock-ups my friend did for her in 2015. But at the very beginning, the dating period was mid to late 2015 to 2016. Now, not impossible that the friend did the work in 2015. But if the friend was introduced after they started dating and say that was late 2015, they're actually more likely to have happened in 2016. So again, this bit just doesn't hang together too well for me. But do remember, it was the friend. She didn't get paid for this work.
Here, I want to show you something real quick. Check this out. This is the high-end London-based. Okay, it's called Chess Jones. Let me move us out of the way. This is Chess Jones.
Right.
Chess Jones Equestrian. So this exists. This is a thing, and I think she told on herself. I think this is an admittance that this Chase Jones thing was her or her mother's invention, because of Chess Jones.
Wow.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, very.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's the only thing that I found, which was not I couldn't find any of her chasejones.com or cjj.com or any of that.
I think this is your favorite email coming up now. Just the third one.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I can't wait.
Okay, it starts, hello, thanks for getting back to me. I'm relieved but nervous, admittedly. I also picked a bad time, but I found the courage to write you on a long flight. I'm several hours ahead of you and currently on a train en route to Vienna, Austria with a dead laptop charger.
On a train to Vienna. En route. Not just on a train. En route to Vienna. If you guys have seen if you've seen the thumbnail for today, I actually put a soldier on a train, on a posh train car, like an old dining car, en route to Vienna with mountains in the background. It's just too romantic.
I am there with a dead laptop charger. I think my cheap adapter blew up my charger. Today and tomorrow are really bad, but give me a couple of hours to see what I can clear off my schedule if I'm being from what I could do from an iPad mini and a phone. Have you noticed the tech theme all the way through? I mentioned it to Dave, but
yeah,
here we've
Google.
got Google Voice, and here we've got the Apple iPad mini. The charger's not working. Tech is something that slows this person down. The tech is bad. The tech is a reason why they cannot provide some things, maybe instant communication and so on. And by the way, I'm not saying it's a lie, but We in Europe don't talk about being several hours ahead of you. As a person, I don't, you and I are in different time zones. I don't say I'm 5 hours ahead of you because we're in the same time. You and I are in the exact same time here. The time here is several hours ahead of you. We're not several hours ahead of you. That's not how we think about these things. We think, what's the time there?
Interesting.
That's
sorry. A really interesting point. I wouldn't have thought of that at all.
It's just, I'm not, again, some people will phrase things differently and talk about things in different ways. So I'm not saying if you do hear that phrase, I'm 5 hours ahead of you, then especially when it's not volunteered, you and I, when we were discussing time for this, we spoke about different time zones.
We did.
That's when we have conversations around time zones. We don't tend to just go, I'm 5 hours ahead of you for nothing, unless we're trying to build a convincing picture. And what are all the things that we might say if we were in Europe?
Interesting. Also, didn't you think it was funny that it mentions the cheap charger that did something bad, which the adapter blew up my charger. An adapter is something that an American would need to have in Europe, and so it's more like offering evidence that I'm really here because I have an adapter that did this thing.
It's all those little breadcrumbs. It's the cheap adapter. It's on the long flight. It's the train. It's too much.
The train to Vienna was I was laughing my head off at this. Just okay. Is there a dining car? Is there a murder on the train too? Or is Hercule Poirot coming out to solve the mystery? Agatha Christie, possibly.
I'm sorry these attachments didn't get through. When I get my Mac back up and running, I'll resend. I also wrote you a longer email initially that had some more details that I will just hit send on. It will be a little redundant in the beginning, but you can skip ahead. One thing you will learn is I have a lengthy career in medicine. Starting off life as a medic in the military, I am sensitive to people's mental health concerns. Now, this is fiction coming through. One thing you will learn, do you know what? That's thinking like a character development, like a plot. So at this point, we're going to learn this, and then later on, I'm going to tell you that, and then later on, I'm going to tell you that. It's like a work of fiction. And another marker of the work of fiction, why are these people not car salesmen or construction workers or, work for the electricity company? Why are they always military and medics and so on? This is like creating a hero rather than a real person with this, brave, valiant, and again, who could be more credible than someone who's been in the military and is a medic as well? Is just building, this credibility instead of, lots of people have jobs that don't have that sort of credibility, but why pick one of those when we could pick one that will just build the so-called credibility of this character of Tag that is being created?
Mm-hmm.
So
makes me mad. It's another thing that makes me mad. I really hate stolen valor. I really do. Stolen valor is really not something that's at all funny at all. It's not funny at all. It's a disgusting ploy, and it also tells me that whoever did this has no regard for the actual valor and honor of soldiers, and that disturbs me.
Lots disturbs me about this. Regarding Chess Jones, you're a step ahead of me. After a few months of working on the clothing project, my friend Stephen eventually pointed out to Laura that he felt she was essentially ripping off their brand, and after a lot of back and forth, he backed off the project. But the friend working on the brand was a she in the previous email, but has now turned into a he with Stephen. And it's these little contradictions that appear everywhere that just give the game away for this. That incident was probably the second time I watched her absolutely melt down into the depths of a mental health crisis, the likes I had never seen. I'll break that down in a minute, and caused me to switch into a care provider role and getting her some immediate medical attention, much to the consternation of her family. Now, that last bit is a really strange description because partners wear multiple roles. If you are with someone, you don't, I'm going to put my caring hat on today. I'm going to put my helping with web URL hats on today. The thought of switching into a care provider role is just not natural language for someone in a relationship to do. They may say it caused me to care more for her, or it meant I was caring for her more than anything else. But we seem to have lost a Megan. That is, I'll carry on. I've done this before. That one really got to me. Partners don't switch roles. partners are partners. The other bit that got me on this one was the incident was probably the second time I watched her meltdown. So it's the second time I watched her meltdown into the depths of a mental health crisis, the likes I had never seen. Well, if it's the second time, you have seen it before. So we've got, again, all the holes falling through in here. Should I keep going? Or wait for Megan to come back? The letter continues. She just couldn't understand why she couldn't either have or be Chess Jones as weird. And that is to type and probably read. As weird as that is to type and probably read is what is there. It was like she became a small child who would swipe a toy and cry relentlessly when she failed. So that is there. I'm not sure. Are we live? Are we still on? Should I look at comments? I'm doing fine, apparently. Thank you, Capital Call Out. Right, I'll keep going. As far as contacting Stephen, she never paid him the $5,600 that effectively ended our friendship. He was one of my first friends in San Francisco and not the stereotype, but being a black gay man who also had a thing for horses and equestrian fashion, he also got very dramatic over the whole affair. Stephen was a talented graphic and web designer who also knew fashion design. He was very active in both race and gay issues in the Bay Area. It's been almost 10 years, hence the was. A couple of things I found very strange on this one were her calling Stephen a gay black man, which is the normal way of saying is he's a gay black man, not a black gay man. We've got a very strange way of putting together. I've just seen fake Laura Owens comment. We'll have to get it up. But we've got a very ordered way of putting words before a noun. Like we would say a big red bus, not a red big bus, and black gay man is not that way. And also this part about Stephen was a talented graphic web designer. He was very active in both race and gay issues. We would tend to say just was, because we do have no idea about the present. So we wouldn't use that was thing. So again, this just feels to me like more.
Well, this is
Hi,
a
Megan.
problem. Hi, this is a problem. I am on my phone because my computer has died and will not let me back in. I don't know why. So I hope I can do this from my phone. I don't know if I can, but thank you for continuing. I appreciate that. Okay. Sorry, continue.
That's all right. I was just pulling out some more of the inauthentic language. The one thing I don't think we are able to do is move the emails on a little bit, but we'll.
Right. Well, we'll deal with it.
I'll continue.
We'll figure it out.
So, what you've probably missed is the introduction of this Stephen, who is the black gay man, not the gay black man, which is a very strange ordering of the things that come before the noun. It's just, I mean, it was a she before. Now it's a gay black man who likes web designing and equestrian. So he just doesn't feel like an authentic. Again, it's just not the words of an authentic experience. Then we have, ultimately, just to settle the whole thing and not to pollute this new circle of friends that I made, I wrote him 3 separate checks to try and pay him the whole amount myself almost straight away. Within the same month, she wouldn't. But he wouldn't accept it from me, and I eventually was pushed out and lost the group of friends I had made. So we had all this. It was funded by the mom, which was like, but funded by mom, and then none of the money has come up. So again, it's just another little marker in language of it's not an authentic experience. Something that's not paid for, you would not say is funded by mom. We got the number 3 again. Did anyone notice that? 3 checks the tag offered to write to pay Stephen. So it's 3 checks in the plural. And remember, I said 3 could be the liar's number. 3 checks in the plural, but he wouldn't accept it from me in the singular. So again, look, it's just a mismatch of terms here. And 3, that's not the first time that those liars have come in 3.
Interesting.
Tag continues. It's also not lost to me that Chase J. Jones, who contacted all of you, might be styled around Stephen, whom Laura had really gravitated towards over that 6-month period and later admitted to a friend of mine she had a crush on him. She probably should have paid him then if she had a crush on him. But again, the dates don't just check out. The work happened in 2015. 6 months of work would have gone into 2016, then a 6-month period of this gravitation on a crush that he found out later. Just doesn't pan out with the dates that were set up at the very start. Tag continues. I need to ask you a bit of a rhetorical question. Allow me to set the stage. Again, this is the writing of fiction. This is like a novel, you know, so allow me to set the stage, or a script, if you like. I'm slightly older than Laura, generationally, and through my upbringing and my years serving in the military, I have a deep understanding and appreciation for accountability. The collective you. This is an interesting one. Clayton, Dave, yourself, et al. So when we list things, we tend to put the most important one to us first when we list something. And who's first in this list? Clayton. Clayton, Dave, yourself, et al. All have hooks of accountability into Laura like no one ever has, ever. If our parents have not tried to buy you, Dave, and Clayton off yet, I'd be surprised and would also expect it. They tried with me, and I heard many years ago they tried to buy off Mike before all the legal drama happened. Laura is not a woman who has just talked a lot of talk about self-harm. I'm personally aware she literally came close to dying twice, once during high school and once in college. So this is, if you know about the Dave Neal email that was happened a couple of weeks ago, it's the exact same pattern here. And I think what was Chad? Whatever this person's name is, Tag, what Tag, I think, is doing here is I see a pattern in the emails, which is flattery, little bits of bait, being nice, giving information, bit of obfuscation, and then going for the kill, what it is that they really want. And this is what they really want here. So there's just all this build up, the credibility of the character, the medic, the military medic thing, bonding over how mad Laura can be, you know, like giving you something, giving you a little bit of something, all for this part, which is my rhetorical question is this. Are you mentally and emotionally prepared if all the pressure being placed on Laura brings her to a final act? Because those threats scared the hell out of me for years afterwards. And when she would text me out of the blue with a threat of harm, I wouldn't respond, something I am deeply ashamed of. So we have just so many common themes. We have the theme of, you know, don't mess with Laura. It could all end up very, very badly for you here. Again, we've got the theme of Tag being the bad guy. So for all the Laura hasn't paid someone, Laura, you know, wanted to rip off a brand and so on, but Tag's the person who is deeply ashamed here. It's clear manipulation, setting the scene of mental illness and self-harm, but it's always other people to blame for Laura's actions in Tag's emails.
Mm-hmm. That really got me, Jack, when this part of it, I just got really sick. Like, this person is just needs help. You know, this was meant obviously to convince me that she has these very real ideations, etc. And I got really grossed out by it. I can't explain it any other way. It just made me feel gross.
It's you know, you look at, again, when I was talking about anonymous notes, like a ransom or a bomb threat or something like that. And one of the things that happens with those is, what are the real intentions behind it? So often some sorts of threats are to scare people, but even though that's kind of smuggled inside the message. And this is very similar. It's intended to scare and intended to get a reaction. Whilst it is dressing it all up with all sorts of stuff, it really is. It's intended to scare.
Yep.
Megan, I do respect you, and I don't want to come across as angry or confrontational. I also know humor draws an audience, but I'm telling you, there is no humor here, and there's nothing funny about how mentally ill she is. As a medical professional, a man and a human being who failed to do the right thing on so many levels 10 years ago, I'm legitimately fearful all this YouTube nonsense will bring a horrible finality to the situation that I know no one wants. Just the same thing. I noticed in there. I know humor draws an audience. This again. How does a medic or a ex-military person know that humor draws an audience? This is someone a little bit more in tune with the content creation side, maybe the radio broadcasting or radio journalism side. You know, that they would know that humor brings an audience. It's not. And focusing on the journalism and so on. They're belaying a lot of the background there.
Mm-hmm.
With this potential final act will bring legal accountability. The common theme, if you follow my meaning, again, my question is rhetorical. But is it something I hope you have? It is something I hope you have fully thought through, and why I will very likely not come fully forward publicly. That was quite hard to say. Now you need to approach this with the understanding that my guilt over this entire situation is profound. It's even a topic I've recently sought professional support over, and was, through my therapist, ultimately encouraged to contact you. Watch for that word. You need to approach this, or that phrase. That is controlling language. When someone tells you what you need to do, that is someone trying to control you, and using sort of borrowed authority in order to get you to do something. It's all been very sort of friendly, and here's some little tidbits about Laura, and whoa, how crazy is Laura, and how crazy is her mom. You need to approach this with the understanding of the severity of this. So it's the character of the person reaching out, the intentions of the person reaching out. And my guilt over the entire situation is profound. Once again, we've got Tag being the bad person in all of this. And another motivation for contacting you. My therapist ultimately encouraged to contact you. So now the therapist is the reason why the contact has been made. But this is, I think, the third or fourth reason why Tag got in touch with you. I have thought this through, and it's why I contacted you. I do want to help. I'm not writing just to zing you in an email. For months, I couldn't help but think I could have prevented so much of what you have all covered. It's impacted me in so many aspects of my life, and probably why I'm so turned off by Dave Neal. Pity Dave's not here to find out he is truly clueless in what he is doing and the damage he's potentially causing. So again, that common theme. It's not Laura's fault. It's Tag's.
We're back.
Your computer back up. Yay.
We're back. I was frantically trying to plug things back in. Oh, Lord. Okay. Continue.
So yeah, no, it's not Laura's fault. It's Tag's. Everything that's happened is Tag's fault, and he feels really, really guilty about all this. I have thought this through. It's my therapist's idea. Well, wait a minute. It was to apologize, and then it was to give some background information, and then it was to help you. Again, it's just not hanging together. The email finishes with, "What's the best way to reach you? My number, for whatever reason, inbound calls are not working very well right now. I'm on Wi-Fi only, but I can text, and call you. So tech and can't call again." The tech is making bad things happen. The tech is the limitation here. It's not the fact that I don't want to talk to you. It's the tech that is the limitation. Signed Tag. And that is the end of that email from the train en route to Vienna.
Wow. Which one? What page are we on now?
We are. Sorry, I haven't numbered my pages.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I think we were. Oh wow, that was a really long one.
Yeah, that was the longest one of them all. Let me get my glass. Yeah, you just need to go down a couple of pages. There we go. That's where we are now. Yeah.
There we are, right down here, May 8th.
Yes.
Boy, you're such a pro, Jack. Thank you for continuing that while the technical difficulties happened. You're an absolute pro. I was listening on the phone, and you were like, "I'm just going to keep going because this has happened before." You know,
this has happened before.
Pro. It does. It happens.
Sorry, as someone who's like a slight perfectionist and so on, I find the idea of someone presenting on my channel would make me go a little bit like, "Oh my God,
no,
what's happening?"
I'm always just, I feel terrible for the person stuck behind. You know, sometimes they can be like deer in the headlights. Like, what do I do? But you're a pro, so you.
First time it happened, I was a little bit deer in the headlights, but
you just keep going. Yeah, that's what you do. Yeah. You just keep on going. Yeah. The show must go on, folks. The show must go on.
Luckily, yes, Tag has presented me with a lot of material.
A lot of material. All right. Well, so this would be, now we're headed into May 6th. Is it the 6th?
So there's the 6th one is a very short one, which follows up the Vienna one, because if the Vienna one wasn't long enough, it did have a contradiction in it. So it did say that the amount that Stephen was stiffed for was larger than the $4,500, which is in the first email. So this explains that discrepancy. Also was my, so there's not very much to it, but my memory was that Laura owed Stephen $4,500, but in the middle of the project, the need for some wide format printer arose. Stephen found a used one for $1,100 that he held on to. Apologies for the discrepancy in the amounts. Tag, that's not the apologies that's needed for discrepancies. There are much worse ones than those, Tag.
Oh, good Lord. Hold on a minute. Before we move on to the next one, we do have a few super chats that we should get to that are very funny. Razilla's Realm says, thanks for the two. Lacey stays at a toxic waste dump for kicks. Now, he's referring to my other case, the one that I said I was going to possibly send you some writing on. It is outrageous. Yamaha Baker says, I wonder what LO's body count is compared to, say, the Black Plague at any point. Yes, I've also wondered that. Fake Laura Owens, thanks for the two. These emails are real. And Fake Laura Owens, thanks to the 5. Megan's computer went down faster than me on a first date. Thank you, Fake Laura Owens, for always having the good jokes. Fake Laura again says, I can send the emails again if you need them. And BS, thanks for the 10 fund for San Fran, and to tip your IT genius, Brad. You know what? I'm going to send that directly to Brad because I'm going to ask him to come help me later today and run some kind of scan on this thing. This is the second time it's happened to me in 2 days during a live stream, which should not be happening at all. And I don't know why it is. So we're just going to have to get to the bottom of that. But thank you, those of you who are trying to help me get to San Francisco. I appreciate it. I'll drop that link in the chat again in a minute. All right.
Right. So we're on Wednesday, May the 8th now. Megan, I'm reading it very dramatically because I think it is written dramatically. Megan, within hours of my reaching out to you, I was contacted both at work and my home by both Laura and an attorney in Arizona who claims to be representing her, who has since sent me multiple messages and now a letter threatening legal action. Additionally, Stephen's partner then contacted me, having received the same communications, and they too were very distraught, not having heard of any of her recent behavior or the litigation involving Clayton. So
this was a reaction, by the way, and to put some context into this. On the 7th, I believe, maybe the day before, I put out a short video on my channel where I said, anyone who has been harmed by Laura Owens, any victims need to come forward. Now is the time. She's on the ropes. So if you were ever harmed by her, if she ever lied about you, if she ever pulled a pregnancy scam, don't be afraid. Come forward and talk to me. And on one hand, I did it hoping to spark something like this. I was hoping that Tag would have a reaction, and sure enough, I got one.
So I'm glad you pointed out the dates as you were going through this, because it starts with within hours of my reaching out to you. Now, I want to know what that means, because the first email was sent to you on May 5th. That would be reaching out to you.
Right.
Within hours of reaching out to you on May 5th would still be May 5th, maybe May 6th at a push. But this is May 8th. So, and they haven't mentioned any reaching out.
So if it was within hours, why didn't it come earlier? Yeah.
Do they mean since the May 6th emails? Well, they were in Vienna at that point, in different time zones. And yet so much has happened within hours of that. So just not true, frankly. Also, again, another one, when people are lying and telling stories, you quite often hear from them the same action happening twice, because when things happen to us, I don't really know how to explain it very well, but when things happen to us, it's filed away in memory as experience. When we're making things up, it's more like a script, like a series of actions. It's hard to get through. And if you notice in this, the attorney's action is twice. So I was contacted both at work and my home by both Laura and an attorney. So the attorney has contacted them. And since then has sent me multiple messages and now a legal letter. So the attorney has contacted many, many times, but all at different times. Again, it just doesn't hang together. We've got these, it's not all brought together in an experience, but it's a very sort of stage direction, boom, 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 letter. And the timeline on that doesn't come through very well. And we get a very early mention of Clayton. This is someone who has a lot of time for Clayton. Never get his second name. It's just good old Clayton. Respectfully, and by the way, when respectfully starts a paragraph, it's never respectful.
It's never respectful, right?
Bad operational security on your part. Coincidence? Laura's parents pulling up the drawbridge like so many past examples? I have no idea. But between traveling internationally for work and all of this occurring at once, until today, I had maybe 3 hours sleep out of 40. And this plus your YouTube post sent me sailing over the edge. It's just...
Yeah. Again, this is the sailing over the edge is yet another throwback now to the self-harm. right?
Yes.
The self-harm. That's how it felt to me. Sailing over the edge brings up images of leaping from a tall building, right?
Yeah.
Going over the edge of a cliff, over the and he or she, whatever, had spoken about Laura's fragility, right? That
Yeah.
it was real. It was real that you could push this person to do something that nobody would want. And then here it is again. And now it's being portrayed as if this person writing it is the one who's on the edge.
Yes.
Doesn't that say something to you?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it did to me.
The emotions don't chime. Can when you disappeared, I got your comments up. So can I try something with your audience?
Oh yeah.
Did anyone notice how much sleep Tag got?
Oh my God. I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about this.
3 hours sleep out of 40. Another mention of that really convenient number 3.
3.
Yeah.
3.
3 hours sleep. Watching the video you posted, listen, Tag international traveler dealing with lawyers, letters, blah, 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 blah. Watching that video you posted, so they've still got time to watch those videos. Almost immediately after we were in contact, the goals, as you outlined them, has closed the door and us working together. Everything you brought up and communicated is nothing I can ever be a part of. I cannot allow myself to be outed the same way as Mike Maricini has. I offered to support you solely on background. That's not this. We have Mike Maricini again, but still just Clayton when he gets mentioned. But what do we have? It's just that repeated theme of I can't talk. I can't do anything to help you.
3-hour snore. A 3-hour snore. JKB Buck, you kill me. So good.
Just trust me, you'll never trust the number 3 again.
It's really, she's used it now, or he, whatever. They've used it now, what, 3 or 4 times at least.
Yeah. Technically, I've been advised by an attorney not to speak with anyone, and we are evaluating potentially contacting Clayton through his attorney. It's been pointed out to me that injecting myself in this could have ramifications for his litigation. Out of professional courtesy, I wanted to make sure you're aware of what has happened so you can evaluate your security. We have, I believe, a little breadcrumb in there, potentially contacting Clayton through his attorney. Is this can you put me in touch with Clayton's attorney, or, something like that? But again, this is another desire to contact and have contact with Clayton expressed in these emails. So whoever Tag is, Tag wants to have contact with Clayton.
Also, this person wanted to make me feel like I had done something, like that someone I'm talking to I can't trust. But because I am a vault, I'm a journalist, I've been doing this for 20 years. I had only spoken to one person about this who, let's just say, would have attorney-client privileges. So there is no possible way that anyone leaked anything to anyone. So there's no, it didn't happen. This is a lie. And what it was a response to the video that I put out that didn't mention any of this. That didn't mention this person or any of the details or anything. It was simply because there was pressure being felt on, oh my God, what if other people come forward? I think that's how I took it.
We have, again, this person letting you know out of professional courtesy.
Mhm.
Is that something a medic would say to you? Professional courtesy? No,
because we're not the same. But this person keeps wanting to put us on an equal level of as if we have something in common. But I don't understand it, because what I do is not at all what a medic does. So how are we on a professional level?
Yeah, that phrase would work on 2 levels. Number one, if it was someone on a peer of yours on a professional level, or if this was from a cybersecurity consultant saying, out of professional courtesy, I think you need to get that checked. Right? That's why that phrase would work. It doesn't work from a medic talking to you at all. Again, we've got the tech theme. Evaluate your security. Bad things happen through technology, and the motive has changed once more, because if it's about injecting myself into this and contacting Clayton. So we've got a new motive for all this contact and what is driving Tag's actions. You might counter that your video message was not directed solely at me, but let's be very honest with each other. You are not looking for dozens of other victims besides
Yes, I
myself.
was.
There is only one other individual who is truly a victim. If you don't count her high school relationships, we are in contact, and I'm also confident you or Neil know this person's identity. Do you remember Sorry, on you go.
I don't. And this is the weird thing about that was I didn't know who that person was talking about. So it's like, I'm confident you or Neil know this person's identity. I don't. I didn't. So that was false. And also, I mean, yes, at least this person was cognizant enough or smart enough to know that, yes, I was needling this person. But I was also looking for other victims because I truly believed then, and I still believe now, that there are more who don't want to come forward, just like Matt Mulvey doesn't want to come forward and talk.
So I think in that I picked up I am also confident that you know who it is. I think that was a breadcrumb, a sort of thing to make you go, oh, do I know who this is? Should I know who this is? Create some sort of bond there. The other thing is, I drew your attention to it at the very beginning in email number 1. I could have somehow stopped this from happening to at least 2 to 3 other men. And now they are taking it right down to there's only one other person. Don't go looking any further. It's always the contradictions that will give you away when you are lying. Lying's dead hard. You got to keep track of all this stuff. And it's, especially when you write as much as Tag is writing here, it's very hard to keep track of all those little bits that are there. And I spot these things because I go through them 5 or 6 times. But at the beginning, we were looking for at least 2 to 3 people. Now there's just one person that this has happened to. I have since calmed down, slept, so I've got more than the 3 hours sleep, and some common sense has prevailed.
Again, that's not male at all. I've never had a man say to me, I need to sleep to calm down. Like I can't imagine that coming out of my husband's mouth or that's just not how men talk at all. And if they did need that, they wouldn't admit it. Not the men that I know would not admit it to me.
No, I am still very concerned about the time rapid fire timing of all this. I think that's a bit of a typo. Rapid fire in all of this is the first kind of military term I could find in any of it. I would expect, if you talk to a doctor, you'll see some medical things coming through in the language. Just like, we spotted, in fact, actually, it's coming later. There's terms like drafting an email and so on, which seems to come from someone who's more of a writer. But rapid fire was the first time I saw anything vaguely comprising military language. In case you are not completely aware, Laura is no dummy. Just a lot of nice things to say about Laura, this person, don't they?
They really want to convince me of this.
Yeah.
This. I feel like this person really wants me to believe these positive things about her.
And then Laura's no dummy, and we're back on this tech theme. In the period of time we were together and the years after, she amassed some minor skill sets using illicit email tracking technology. I would not go so far as to call her a hacker by any stretch, but she definitely scared me a couple of times with these tools and her knowledge. So we've got something nice about Laura. And scared me? Are you scared too here?
You should be scared.
You should be scared. Also,
by the way, I also want to go back a minute because the thing that they said about Dave again in the page before, what was it? The page right at the bottom of page. Oh, yes. We are in contact, and I'm also confident that you or Neil know this person's identity. Felt like an attempt to get me to discuss this with Dave, which is something I did not do. I refused to do because at the time, Dave was under a lot of stress with a lot of this crap. And I didn't want, like he said, we kind of like sanitized this from him. So no, I didn't see any reason to talk about this with Dave, but this felt like trying to get me to talk to him about it, which is an interesting phishing technique as well. So
yeah,
I just wanted to mention that.
Just looking at that there, I did not point that out, but if you'll notice, we are in contact, and I'm also confident you or Neil know the person's identity. Therefore, you don't. Dave might.
Neil does.
So yes.
So that's like you go talk to Dave, see if you can figure it out. And I didn't. So again. those of you who have information, if you want to get it to me, I don't reveal my sources and I don't talk to people about it. It took months for me to tell Dave that this happened. After I was sure that it was fake, then that's when I told him about it.
Also consider that even if you think your security is pretty good, it could easily be that some of your compatriots' security is not, and that you were sent something compromising. To be honest, it's just too bizarre for me to even take in. So we've got another one of these, to be honest, compatriots. Sorry, I pronounced it wrongly. But send something compromising. This again,
it's like a threat that she may have sent me something compromising.
Yeah.
That's how I took it.
Yeah.
I took it as, well, there's all kinds of phishing technology on these emails, probably trackers, finding out how many times I've opened it, which would have been considerable. I read and reread these many, many times.
It is all the tech can be used for bad or used for deception. That's a very common theme there in all of these. Signs off again. I wish you the best in support of holding Laura accountable. I'm at peace that it's finally time for someone to do that regardless of the outcome. So holding her accountable, but regardless of the outcome, she's either held accountable or not. This person is open to the fact that she won't be held accountable. Also, the response back to her attorney was a somewhat unprofessional offer to suck a large bowl of dicks. The concept of professionalism again. The professionalism just keeps coming and coming. And God, a really strange put together swear word, and goddamn fucking shit. I almost wrote all the best and now can never do that again. Regards, I guess, tag. Well, that was weird. That was a weird way of ending because she
who says all the best other than Laura?
I believe she says all the best, or used to say all the best at the end of her emails.
Yes, all the time.
Now, Tag is joking about that, and the anonymous person that emailed Dave Neal a couple of weeks ago finished it with all the best, which is like, it's almost like that double bluff thing of, well, if I take the rise out of all the best, then I can't be Laura Owens.
Yeah, this one really sealed it for me. Because why would you have a hard time not writing all the best unless all the best was something you wrote all the time? And it's not really a very usual salutation or, ending of a note. It really isn't. People will say best. People will say sincerely, thank you. All the best. I can't remember seeing that until I started this case and I saw Laura's emails. Like, that is not something that's that common here. It's just not.
Yeah. Also, it's maybe I just like doing things that are more complex, but all the best and now can never do that again is implicit there that the writer of these notes
had done
write
that.
All the best. It's
and
too
also,
simple to say this must be Laura doing this because that's how she would talk. But
look back. This person never signed off with that before to me.
No.
Here it just says tag. Let's see, let's go back. All of them, it's just tag. So why on the very last email do you have a problem not signing it all the best when you've never done that before?
Just crazy. There is one more email to go.
Okay, let's move forward. And let me check something real quick since we have a little bit of a break between emails. I think we have a couple super chats. Kim Dodds, member for 9 months. Laura named this alter ego after Rachel's secretary / boyfriend in Friends.
Now my pop culture is coming in. Was Tag not played by someone quite famous?
Yes,
or who went on to get famous?
And that blonde guy, he was very handsome. Let's see, Tag, Friends, Rachel. It was, who was that guy? Tag Jones, portrayed by Eddie Cahill. So Eddie Cahill was, very handsome. This is interesting. Let me pull this up real quick. Here he is, Tag Jones. And strange that his last name is Jones.
Oh, wow.
That's weird too. Hold on, let me share this so that you guys can see what he looks like. Share this. Let's pull this up. Let's see. How do I There we go. All right. This is him over here. I don't know if I can get closer. That was the guy who played Tag in Friends. Interesting.
And he had a huge role, if I'm not... Yeah, he was in all 197 episodes of CSI-NY.
Oh, interesting.
He was the lead kind of star of, or one of the leads of that.
Interesting. And fake Laura Owens, thanks for the 5, says, well, technically, I've made men so upset they needed to sleep to calm down. And I do want to point a shout out to those of you who have donated to the San Francisco Fund recent today. Came at Red Queen, thanks for the 25. I appreciate that. Novelist RJ Wright, thanks for the 20. Says, keep up the great work as a journalist, writer, mother, wife, and all around baddie. Well, I appreciate that. And Puzzled Puzzler gave $250 the other day, and I really appreciate that. That is amazing. Same with you, Debbie Baker. Thanks for the 50. We are going to get there one way or the other. I'm going to, like I said, I'll take up waiting again if I have to get to San Francisco, but I intend to get there and cover that trial because it's going to be epic. And yeah. All right. So we're going back to we're at the last email. This would be, I don't know if that's the last, but it's one more you said to go.
Yeah.
May 19th.
Yes, May 19th. I think this is the last one. And it's a long one again because Tag likes to use words. Megan, I am back in the UK. The previous email, back in the US. That's my... When we misspeak, right? It shows a lot about what is going on in our mind. It shows our cognitive load. And I've just said where I am, not where Tag is. I'm back in the US. There was no indication in the prior one. All these attorneys calling work and so on. There was no indication that this happened while abroad in Europe, but now they are back in the US. As you know, it's been quite a busy time with the Owens matter. I feel I owe you an apology, and I'd like to ask you 2 questions and also provide some additional background. So what I haven't done here is I have seen your replies to Tag, and I think from memory, your reply to Tag was a very blunt, no security issues here, which was like not.
And I also said, I think you're Laura, is what I said. And I said, you're not very good at this.
So first of all, allow me to apologize for being flighty and somewhat accusing you of having bad security. Well, somewhat accusing you of having bad security, you did.
Yeah, you did.
I now know it's the Owens family attorney and a PR person working in the background with Jan Owens on behalf of Laura. I will also apologize for this email as it's gone through a couple of drafts and I'm struggling with the order in which to structure this email to you as to not improperly portray the situation. So we have 2 markers of language there. I bet you've noticed the female language again. You know, very few men, very few medics especially are going to go, I'm drafting this email to get the structure together. Actually, it's more of a legal thing or a journalism thing or a writing thing to think about writing in that way. That's just, again, it's just apologizing for things. Is a very female trait, you know. So I'm sorry, but this again. So
I just thought of something because the chat said Tag and Chase are definitely the same person. I just realized that Chase J. Jones, the person who claimed to be Chase J. Jones, also claimed to be a journalist. Laura, did she want to be a journalist? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe because her mother was a journalist and her dad was some sort of, you know, he was a radio talk show host, which is kind of like a journalist. Does she have this thing in her head where she sees herself as one because she has the podcast? But journalism does seem to be a trigger for her. Like it seems to be something that she really wants to be associated with. Let's just put it that way.
I don't know too much about it, but sorry, Laura, if you're watching, but failed podcaster, would that failed content creator, would that be a good way of there, which I think would be why we're getting a lot of this professionalism coming through.
That's it. That's it. That's the thing. That's why she thinks that we're on professional equal terms, is because she had a podcast nobody ever listened to. And, you know, is a definitely not the #1 podcast. We're not sure how she got that to say those things, but it definitely not. No one ever heard of it.
Second, my attorney is in contact with Greg Woodnick and the other attorneys as a collective, and there are some discussions underway about how to support possibly this effort. I'm also scheduled to speak with Clayton soon. So my attorney, singular. My attorney is in contact with Greg Woodnick and other attorneys. I'm personally talking to Clayton. Again, we've got this closeness between Tag
Yeah, and I know
and
that
Clayton.
this is absolutely a lie because I was in contact with Greg Woodnick. So I obviously asked him if this was true, and it was not true at all. So it's weird that this person went that route.
Well,
don't you think I would have the contacts to find out if you had a scheduled call with Clayton? Of course I had the contacts to find out. So what this is really ballsy of a lie.
I should have pointed out, by the way, sorry, an intro to this. So what we've had so far is we've had the build-up of emails. So we've had the ones since the 5th, and Tag has got nowhere with anything that they have been asking. And I've seen your replies, and they're very, I'd love to talk to you. Let's talk. No, nothing wrong with my security. Let's talk. And what you see when people are sending anonymous emails, which I'm going to call this, and they don't get what they want, they don't get the response, the reaction they want, they become more and more unhinged. They become slightly, less well thought through, slightly less. They're as much as this one has been drafted, slightly more just sent. I think for a couple of reasons. I think it becomes frustrating, but I also think they think they've gotten the groove of writing these, so they don't need to, spend so much time polishing them and getting the backstory together. And I think that's what we're seeing in this one. So you said, why is this one gone this way? This one does get slightly more unhinged and also just brings a whole load of legal stuff into it. This was 11 days after the last one, and a whole load of legal things have happened for this person that was on the periphery watching Dave Neal talk about this situation. This person now seems to be front and center with all the attorneys and scheduled conversations with Clayton, which I think is wishful thinking on Tag's part. There's a legal aspect to this situation that on some level, those of you who are covering this might not have a full grasp on based on what my attorneys are telling me. So we have another threat incoming. As you might notice, the mental health one didn't work. So let's try and do a legal one here, which again, it's a pattern someone else follows, isn't it? Not just Tag. And based on what my attorneys are telling me, so we've gone from one attorney to multiple attorneys that this person has. So again, just these little details that are not the hallmarks of an authentic experience. I think it's worth reinforcing to you that the group of victims are still in a perilous spot, as Laura is still very much on offensive from a legal filing perspective. Unless the judge accepts a very wide version of events, the judge is relatively bound by the confines of the current case that Laura filed. As you know, Gingras' sole role is to get the matter excused with as little cost exposure to the Owens as possible. So once more, just like with the mental health thing, we have the language of control. I am reinforcing this here to you. Laura is on the offense here, so be scared. Again, as you know, is like, no, I don't. And when someone uses one of those terms, it's like a convincer. If they say, as you know, our natural reaction is to go, oh, I didn't, but I should, obviously, from this. So I'll just take it at face value. They're going to smuggle this lie past me by going, as you know, blah, 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 blah. So it's the language of control. And you'll notice that the legal side that is being put down here is all from Laura's viewpoint. It's about what Laura's filing is. It's about what Laura's intentions are. It's about what Laura's attorney wants to get. Very much like the webifying the brand. It's not from the point of view of an observer. It's from the point of view and the experience of a person much more at the center of what is going on there. There is some concern that the judge, who is still reviewing all this additional information from Woodnick and Gingras as I write this, or is it Gingras?
Gingras, yeah.
Gingras. Stupid name.
I know, it really is a stupid name. We called him Gingras for an entire year until we went to court and he stood up and said his name is Gingras. And all I could think of was all this time, AI had it right. Yeah. What a stupid name.
As I write this, could still order the other victims' material to be excluded, in which case my public participation would all be for naught. The pressing question on the table right now is, are the victims collectively willing to step out of this current litigation in order to mount a proper offence? So Tag has learned a lot of complexity, a lot about what is going on with the Laura Owens legal case in the space of a few days, from being this person who thought they'd maybe get in touch with you and just say, is there want some background information? All of a sudden, they are
They
front
have
and center of this.
strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reality of this situation is that the easiest and most straightforward approach the judge could and likely would take is to shut the case down with some minor sanctions. She doesn't want this to go out on appeal, nor does she want the circus. There's little value to her or the law in expanding the scope of Clayton's defense to include others. That's just the politics of being a judge. It also means the outcome that myself and the others more heavily impacted victims are seeking can only be truly achieved under a case filing that we are on offense. Shut up.
Crazy.
Laura's going to win this, so just don't bother covering this. Just back right off. All that's going to happen is minor things. The judge is going to absolutely swing for this, so just back down. But again, we've got the phrase of the circus. There's little value in her having a circus. Is that the phrase that she used there? Where was it? Circus. She doesn't want to, nor does she want the circus. So again, there's this two things. This phrase, entertainment. Content, a circus is content, if you like, this thing running through it as well. And also circuses funny, and there's nothing funny about Dave Neal or anything like that. This is not a person with a great sense of humor. They don't want a circus. They don't like people making jokes. Third, to answer the question of what those ideal outcomes are, we, the collective victims, have identified a high-level list of objectives we would pursue both Laura and Jan Owens for. I just want to point out here that we're in third in a list of things, and now we're going to get an embedded list within a list. That's very much exceedingly high complexity.
Oh, this is interesting. T3 says this must have been what Gingras was telling her. I think it was. I think it was what Gingras was saying. Gingras was constantly saying that that Clayton couldn't win this case, that the judge was going to throw it out, that this was, there's no Rule 26. This is what she was being fed. Yeah.
Well, this, I'll skip right to the end of this email. I believe this one has the most male traits in it. I don't think that this one was written entirely by a female.
What if Gingras wrote it?
It might have had some input from a male or some influence from a male. Okay. Anyway, once again, Jan Owens is back as the baddie in all of this because, we're going to pursue both Laura and Jan Owens for one, psychiatric care for Laura, funded by Laura's parents via a court-mandated order and trust. Sorry, I'm British. I don't know very much about the American legal system, but could you force someone's parents to?
No.
Two separate.
No, her parents could try to put her in a guardianship, sure, but outside people that she's wronged, no, that's stupid.
Two separate statements from Laura Owens and Jan Owens exonerating each of us individually in detail, and separate paragraphs in Laura's statement invalidating her TEDx talk, her Chicken Soup for the Soul book entry. In other words, we wouldn't pursue either content publisher, but pressure them accordingly through her to remove or acknowledge her impropriety. 3, a confidential monetary settlement would be weighted on the victim's past legal expenses and new case legal costs paid by the Owens. And 4, self-removal of her TEDx. So once more, who's responsible for Laura's behavior? Because it's been TAG a lot of the time. Now it's the parents that must pay the price for Laura's behavior. But I will say, if that was not written by Laura, that was maybe written by someone a bit closer to Laura, some of that must have been quite hard to write about removal of the TEDx talk, about the psychiatric care and so on. That must have cost a lot to write. More legal stuff. These multi-party discussions are all in preliminary stages, as is a potential settlement conference set for this coming Tuesday. So much detail, so much information.
Yeah, and so easy for me to debunk. Like, why are you telling me this? I have access to Clayton, at least. If she didn't know I had access to Greg, she had to have known I had access to Clayton.
Fourth of all the reasons I cannot publicly, there are 2 additional details about myself I need to share with you confidentially. One,
I like the stars.
Yeah, confidentially. I believe I shared with you that I have served in the military and am now a current medical professional, physician assistant at trauma medicine. I also shared with you that after a breakup with Laura, I had to both administer and obtain emergency medical care for Laura. As such, my role in her life changed from casual relationship to healthcare provider, and I am ethically and legally bound in multiple ways to protect her privacy. Now, that first of all, that description of who Tag is now. I served in the military and am now a current medical professional. 2 nows, now and current. This is like writing a LinkedIn bio. This is not just telling you who I am, you know?
Right. It's a resume.
Yeah. I work in medicine now. It's a very different story from before, because before the psychotic episode happened about not being able to rip off a brand's branding and so on. Now it's happened after a breakup. Again, these consistencies, the inconsistencies, the contradictions. Now, many people will argue privacy as it pertains to that event. This is so legal and detailed. It's interesting, which is the letter of the law and has appeared in many a physician or care provider's civil case. But I am in practice at a major trauma center, Megan. I have to maintain an unimpeachable reputation in this regard. Didn't stop them divulging everything in previous emails, but all of a sudden, can't tell you about these things now. The other reason is that I'm challenged to go public is the presence of an NDA agreement between myself and the Owens family. Technically, that agreement was invalidated the moment that her attorney, David Gingras, contacted me, because it meant she disclosed the case and agreement to him. It was further
That's right. You know, you can just call him Douche Canoe, and it's fine. If it's difficult. Hey, I keep going, Jack. I will be right back. This email has gone on so long that if I don't take a bathroom break, I'm in serious trouble with the coffee this morning. I'll be right back.
Never do coffee before a live. I'll carry on. It was further invalidated earlier this week when Laura herself reached out to me. I received a much longer version of the email you received, but the top 1/3 of mine was nearly identical to yours. Nevertheless, I proceeded very cautiously. I need to proceed very cautiously, and I'm not willing to test the efficacy of that NDA solely to appear on a YouTube channel just yet. Now, what gets me thinking here is something has changed, because the tone has very much changed, but the reasons why this person, Tag, can't talk all of a sudden have become multiple. If you notice in the first emails, they were just a little bit tentative about talking. I might come forward. I'm just not a little bit sure. There's some things there. The NDA has come from nowhere, has not been mentioned before. Again, it's these things that will catch you out, as has the job as a medical professional, which means you need to keep client confidentiality. That has just come from out of nowhere. But all of a sudden, these reasons for not talking, not being able to talk live with Megan, have gone large. Tag carries on. For some background, the reason the NDA was that the time that Laura was still very much trying to make a go of it in broadcasting, and the family. So there we go. There's something, make a go of it in broadcasting. So we spoke about journalistic or content creation type ideas. Laura was very much trying to make a go of it in broadcasting. And the family's reaction to how I addressed her medical needs was beyond over the top. Family's fault again, never Laura's. Despite what she had attempted in high school, etc., they were still very much in denial over her mental health condition. We can discuss in more detail later, but her family's reaction to the steps I took over that long, fateful weekend were far from the grateful work with us attitude you saw with Mike Marancini, received from Ron and Jan. Despite my staying with her for a few months after, at their insistence, I was treated as enemy number one and accused multiple times by Jan as sabotaging their little girl's career. So Jan and Ron are the villains again. We have talk again about...
She's very bitter about her failed career.
Yeah, but Laura was trying to make a go of it in broadcasting, which...
I heard that, yep.
Professionalism and journalism. But really, we've gone from someone who doesn't understand things to someone who just has all these blockbuster reasons what's going on in their life, why they can't talk, all sorts of things they didn't mention about their situation previously, all of a sudden have been back and now front. But bear in mind, this person's broken that so-called NDA because they've told you and us all about this. However, they also told you that Laura was a super hacker who could get anything in email. So they broke an NDA in an email that they thought Laura could well read.
Could get.
What?
Well, this is again like how she always accuses Greg Gillespie of being this incredible hacker who hacks into everything. And that's her excuse for everything is, well, I didn't do it. It was Greg Gillespie. He hacked in. He time traveled. back to my relationship with Mike Maricini, hacked into my computer, fabricated medical documents. Like, honestly, that's her go-to. She has hacker. I think she also has like hacker fantasies. There's something about the computer hacking that's exciting to her, and she needs to be part of her story.
I've noticed that I'm not going to put anyone down, but I have noticed that some people who are very interested in true crime or things in the news have taken to thinking that Googling something is hacking or doing research. Do you know what I mean? You know, like, so someone will be like, well, and then quote the first hit on Google. It's got even worse now that Google gives you an AI answer. First of all, that's just what people do. And I think that I bet she'd like to think of herself as this sophisticated cyber maneuver person, but probably doesn't have the skill.
Also, creating false personalities and puppet accounts on Facebook gives her that she thinks that that's somehow, savvy.
Yes, it's exactly that. I know what a proper hacker can do, and it's not creating false accounts on Facebook or sending emails,
with just a phishing thing on it, whatever, with a tracking software. Anybody can do that. Anybody can get a tracker on an email.
Megan, I cannot recoup the time and energy I have lost to this woman, and I do want to work with you. My number one goal is to detonate her personal and professional reputation. My second goal is to prevent this from ever happening again. My third goal is to help the other, more current victims recoup what they can from the situation. My fourth goal is that she gets help. So once again, now 4 goals. We've had all these primary things that have popped up, the reasons for getting in touch with you, but now we've got 4 goals. But in the last email, they were worried about the mental health repercussions. You know, bad things could happen if you and Dave Neal keep on doing this. It could be a final thing that happens. And now my number one goal is to detonate her personal and professional reputation.
That one got me. And here, I'll tell you what I thought about that. I thought specifically this person was trying very hard to get me to go public with these emails and to pretend as if this was a real person, because she was clearly trying to build a case against me and others in the media for defamation. And here you have an admission by someone who was a source to me saying my number one goal is to destroy her reputation. That to me was a huge red flag of like, first of all, why would I go forward with any source who tells me their number one goal is to destroy someone's reputation? Do you think I'm stupid?
Listen, let me skip to a little bit at the end. If we've got time, I'll do my sort of wrapping up on all of this, but let me just get one there. So I wrote down a profile of the person that's written these emails and then their intentions of this. And their number one intention I've written is to spread brackets misinformation. To spread misinformation. I thought they were feeding you misinformation they'd want used. What would happen to you if you spread misinformation?
Because then I would be discredited, and then she could say that, well, this was obviously fake, and she doesn't vet her sources. And, of course, but I've been doing this for a lot longer than maybe she realizes, and that's not something that I do.
So you just said it'd be, if you did spread that misinformation, it'd be bad for you. Yeah. It wouldn't look great for you. My number one goal is to detonate her personal and professional reputation. That's you. That's not Laura.
Yeah. Me.
That number one goal.
She means me. Yeah.
Number one goal is there. Shall I carry on? As far as you and I working together, my attorneys have become less opposed to it, especially if I do go public legally. So much legal has come into this one. But I also can't negotiate with myself. I'm looking to you to propose a way that I can remain in the shadows for now and provide you with off-camera information that supports what your goals intersect with mine, whatever they may be. So the attorneys have become less opposed to it, even though there's this NDA there. It's not, and it's all still about being in the background and being unseen. Tech makes a reappearance. As it were, my younger sister is visiting and she is a techie rock star. She was able to image the BlackBerry I found in a box from that time in my life, so all the messages and screenshots have been preserved. Reading those messages again nearly 10 years later literally showed up on my Apple Watch HR monitor.
I don't even know what that is, an Apple Watch HR monitor. I was like, what?
It means their heart rate went up on their Apple Watch.
Oh, I see. I understand. Okay, now I get it. I was like, what's an HR?
Someone, this is just tech obsessed someone.
Yeah.
Last, my second question to you beyond working together is this, and for clarity, I'm not asking just for myself, but also for my attorneys. Are you the brains behind the Justin for Clayton page and Twitter accounts, and/or would you be able to my attorneys in touch? I'm sure that's put my attorneys in touch with who is. If I were to go public, I would absolutely work you primarily, but there is also value in having direct line of communication with that site and Twitter feed. So the entire tenor of this email is, I'm giving you nothing. I'm under NDA. I'm under professional obligations not to talk to you. My attorneys don't want me to talk to you. But could you just let me know who's running this account? That would be great. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if you've seen the latest timeline Instagram post, but if you were wondering who the missing calendar hottie for 2015 is, you're talking to him. I can try and be funny when my stress isn't turned up to 11. Funny appears again, although it's not funny. Again, I'm sorry I was scared away, and I hope I haven't burned a bridge. I'm getting ready for Laura's team to know that I am in play publicly, but want to keep the specifics of what I provide to you on background. I hope we can come to an understanding. That is the final words of someone who just signs himself off as tag.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, for the chat asking, yes, I've been in possession of these since May of 2024 and have not released them publicly until today. I think I released part of the first message I received just to compare to what Lauren Knighty received. And that was after I had already verified that this was completely faked. But no, I have not released all of these. This is the first time you're seeing them, the depths of the crazy.
So I've read them all, and I wrote a profile of the person that wrote these, so you can see.
I can't wait for
Who you
this.
think? Okay, so in no particular order, this is someone who knows a lot about Laura Owens. I mean, a lot of detail about Laura Owens. Someone who's very aware of legal systems and legal systems being deployed. Someone who likes complexity, but they're not good with details. They enjoy layer upon layer of complexity. They might be employing that complexity to impress or to baffle, but they seem to have a use and enjoyment of complexity. But they aren't aware, or they don't care for inconsistency. They just, that complexity, they're not a master of that complexity. The complexity has another use for them. Definitely got a knowledge of journalism and writing. They have more knowledge of healthcare than the military. There is, for someone who has been in the military, they bring no military knowledge to any of this whatsoever. There's a little bit more healthcare knowledge there. Someone who is an early adopter of tech. So this is someone who was using Google Voice, managed to use something about an Apple Watch, which you didn't understand. That may talk to the age of this person as well. So this is someone who had a BlackBerry or was aware of BlackBerries, aware of when BlackBerries were, used Google Voice, has an Apple Watch. We could probably get an age from it there if we did some tech breakdowns. Someone with an interest in Clayton Echard over anyone else in all of this list, as someone with a very personal connection to it, or feels a personal connection to it, calls them Clayton, wants to speak to them personally, talks 3 times about trying to talk to Clayton. A no-brainer, but someone with a strong dislike of Dave Neal. This is someone who is isolated in life. If you look back over those emails, all the relationships they describe are at arm's length or have been cut off. The Stephen, for the circle of friends in San Francisco, Stephen, they've all been cut off. There are, in this person's world, very few ongoing relationships going. They mentioned their sister visiting, and that is the only ongoing relationship that they have. So this is someone very, very isolated. Someone extremely aware of Laura's faults and weaknesses, but very understanding of them. It's mom that gets called the bunny boiler and psychotic. It's not Laura that gets called those things. The gender, like I've been talking on the way through, there are many female traits, but there are also some male ones in there. I wonder if it was written by a female, especially the last one, if there was male input, like we spoke about. Someone that doesn't want to communicate on their voice, and someone very low on sense of humor. So who is that? Who does all that add up to? I mean, I wasn't there when those emails were written, but it all screams of one person to me that could have possibly written those emails. The intentions behind them, like I spoke about, is to spread misinformation. I think, I discredit you or discredit people you work with, type of thing. They really want access to your contacts or network. Who's running this page? Can you put? They didn't ever ask to be directly put in touch with attorneys, but it was almost like one of those. Oh, I tell you what, why don't I put you in touch with this person's attorney and you might be able to help them?
Right.
Like I felt like there was that thing going there. Certainly, they want creators to stop,
which I did
talking
not
about-
do.
Funny that. They want creators to stop talking about and laughing about Laura Owens. That is the number one thing that came through in all of those things. And they wanted to find out who's behind the Justice for Clayton page. So if you put that personality with those intentions, who sent those?
I think it's very easy. And in fact, my last email to this person, I said, I believe this is Laura Owens. And Laura, you're not very good at this, and you should consider getting some serious help. And I also took the number that Tag gave me and I ran it through Google, and it did come back to Laura's number. However, there is some question about whether that technology works or not. Like I tried it with my number, it didn't work. I tried it with other people's numbers, it didn't work, but it did send a password reset to Laura's account that we know of, the Gmail that we know of. But can I say that that's definitive proof? No, but it's just another layer to this that goes toward my column of this was sent by Laura for all the reasons you just described. And the one thing you pulled out that I really didn't see, well, there were several things. I shouldn't say the one thing. I mean, there are tons. I mean, the use of the number 3, amazing to me, but also I did not pull out that thing. That thing about destroying her reputation did stand out to me as being a real red flag and a real problem, but I didn't see it as being directed at me, which is absolutely, you're 100% right about that.
Yeah,
That's exactly what all of this was supposed to do.
We had that duplicity going on, which is like, I can't talk, I can't tell you anything. I've got an NDA. I'm ethically bound not to tell you anything, whilst all the time giving you very detailed information, which I think they were hoping you would pounce on and start,
making content on it.
Oh, great. I've got an email here which says this is what's the latest is
Right.
on this case. And like you said, if you'd done that, then you would find your reputation. Look, your reputation is probably built on more than just that, and would take more than one incident to pull that down. However, it would give people who wanted leverage against you, again, who could that be,
Of
to
course.
say this person doesn't know what they're talking about. Look
And
at
they
the
don't.
rot they've
She
put
doesn't
out.
vet anything.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
exactly.
that would be, and of course that's just, I think I saw through a lot of that. I knew that was part of it, was to get me to spread this misinformation and to make me look ridiculous. But that one line about destroying her reputation was so weird to me. I thought, why would you say that? But now it makes complete sense. It was about my reputation, not Laura's. It was about mine.
It's so at odds with that mental health concern that Tag expresses through a lot of the emails. My number one goal is to detonate her personal and professional reputation. When we are lying, we still have the truth in our heads. We still have concepts in our heads, and they will come out. We can't help it. It's impossible to lie all the time. That's why the very best actors get paid a fortune, because they can play a character with different lines and different motivations very, very well. The majority of us can't. And so things will come out. The truth will come out. Motivations will come out, like detonating her personal and professional reputation.
You should, I should get you together with Lauren Knighty, because Lauren also got a series of emails from Tag that we found contradictions in too, between mine and hers. And so maybe you would like to see those. I'm sure that Lauren would like to send them to you.
I would love to see those. And I think I have seen this in many of the other work. Sorry, let's be fair. I've seen this in some of Laura Owens' Medium blogs. There are contradictions in those as well, because she isn't capable of just keeping track of all the small details and just, making sure that things check out. I think the other thing that is similar in there to the Medium blogs, and also I think some of the testimony in court, is that she kind of thinks by going, there's some proof that everyone will accept it. I went to that clinic there. Well, can you prove it? No, just I went to that clinic there. How dare you doubt me? And there's very much that trust me, running through all of this as well. You know what? Just trust these stories. Here's some things to say. Here's some stuff for validation. Why don't you go and check all that out?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, this is going to be, this is really interesting. This was so much fun. Jack, thank you so much for being here. I know I've taken up a ton of your time, so I will let you go. I'm sure you have other things to do today. I only have a few super chats and things to get through. But thank you so much for being here. And I hope we can do it again soon. And I'm definitely I'm going to connect you and Lauren so she can send you those emails. I'm sure she would love to hear your take on them.
Thank you very much for having me. And it's been an absolute pleasure to, I didn't realize I was the first person to see these. I thought they were all public. So actually sitting and working on them has been a proper privilege. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And also, everybody, please go and subscribe to Never a Truer Word on YouTube so you can see Jack's other work and and if you haven't caught up on his Laura Owens stuff, it's really great too. So check that out. And thank you so much, Jack, for being here and making the time.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, we are going to just go over a couple of the super chats that we have left here. And then I'm going to redirect you over to the Glarer, who has a live right now about, it's Karen Reed related, Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy's case. I think he's talking about that right now. So I thought you might find that interesting. So we'll redirect you to that. But first, we have fake Laura Owens that has a few more things to say. Fake Laura, thanks to the 5. People listen. They do. They do. My podcasts are special. Mommy says they are. Yes, Laura, we know. Fake Laura, thanks to the 5. Obviously, I wrote these emails. No man other than Dave Neal or an attorney paid to would write this much about me. Oh, God, that's so true. It's so true. And Rylan Poole, thanks for the super tip. Thanks for the 5.
See, tech is the problem. Why I couldn't do a phone call. I can't hear that. Wait, why my ex-boyfriend, who is totally real and the real one who's to blame, couldn't call?
Could you guys hear that? Did the chat hear it? Because sometimes I can't. I screw up my. I screwed up when my computer reset. In case you couldn't hear it, it said, "See, tech is the problem. Why I couldn't do a phone call. Wait, why my ex-boyfriend, who is totally real, and the real one who's to blame, couldn't call." All right, good. You could hear it. All right, good. I'm glad. With the reset on the computer, I think something got jacked, and my ears are not hearing it. All right. The good news is, let's see. Let me check see if there's any more messages on the Give, Send, Go. No, we're good over there. All right, guys. We will see you again soon. Thank you. And I am covering a new case, by the way, and you can get caught up on it today at 4:00. It is the Timms case. And Carrie and Brady Timms had their baby taken from them for allegedly abuse, but really the baby had medical issues at CHOA, Children's Hospital of Atlanta. They were charged with criminal abuse and they were found not guilty. And we are watching that trial on my channel right now. And we're having a really good time doing that. And if we've only gotten through 3 days so far of the trial, it's going to be an entire month. And if you want to do that with me, I'm doing it every day from like 9 to 11 or 12. We're going to be back at it tomorrow, but I made a video to catch you guys up on what you've missed so far. That is going to premiere today on my channel at 4 p.m. And I would really love it if you guys would just check out that TLDR. It's only like a 15-minute video, so you can see if you would like to join me for that case. This is a case that needs so many more eyes. There's so much injustice going on in Georgia. It's not the first family this has happened to. I also covered a case with the Hernandez family. Same thing. Their baby was medically fragile and had medical problems and unexplained fractures, and they were accused of abuse also. They were also found not guilty, and we're going to go over that trial when I have footage of that as well. But right now we are on the Carrie Timms case. Carrie and Brady Timms have joined me on at least 2 occasions to discuss this and to watch the trial with me. So I have really good access to the people in the case and the activists that helped them throughout it. And I would really love for you guys, because I love this audience. I love the Laura Owens audience, and you guys are very justice minded. And I know that you will love this case. And I would really love to have more eyeballs on it. So if you would like to join me, please check out the video that's premiering at 4 p.m. today on my channel about the Timms case. And then join me for the trial coverage that we're doing all week. I'm going to be gone this week for my mother-in-law's funeral. channel on Friday through next Tuesday, but then I'll be back at it on Wednesday. So tomorrow I have a live stream from 9 to 11 on the Tim's Case. Of course, I'm on every night with Tug as well. We'll be doing that on my channel tonight and on his tomorrow. And then I will be back on Wednesday. We'll start the Tim's trial again at 9 a.m. So please tune in, and we'll see you later. Go tell the glarer that I sent you, and have fun. See you guys.